Okay, I've got it where I've got it on silent so I can see it. Okay, just let me know when you're ready. Mm, is the music? Oh, Pass, can you hear me?
Wait a minute. Let me ask you, did you hear the music just now?
I did not hear it, but it's all good. I'm glad. Sure, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Give me 1 second. Oh,
Okay.
I'm being goofy today.
Okay.
Too busy typing and didn't
Because I
do
was
what
wondering
I
if
was
I had
supposed to.
gotten. Okay.
Okay, because it's actually a nice song here. Okay, sorry guys about the technical difficulty. Can you hear it now?
Let me hear. It's kind of. I'm not hearing it. I. I'm still here, Topaz. Are you? I don't hear the music, but hopefully everybody else does.
Wait, you still don't hear it?
I did not hear it.
Oh God. Okay. I'm not okay, so I did. I shared screen and then the Chrome tab where the music was playing. I saw the video, but I didn't hear the music. You know what? I think that we'll just forgo the song because obviously I'm doing something wrong up
That's
here.
okay. That's okay.
I'm sorry about that.
No big
But
problem. I'm not as
I
savvy
think
with
the
that as myself.
information is more important. So let's get to that. It was the Game of Thrones song, and I think that it would have got y'all in the right mood. But it was a great idea, and okay.
Uh,
Complex, don't be laughing at me. So okay, so Ray, why don't you tell us why you're here today?
okay, I'm just calling, coming in today just to talk about the importance of black men getting into technology and how technology is the wave of the future and everything is moving pretty rapidly. And that would be that men that make the proactive decision to get into technology should be noticed by our women as potential good mates. And so that's kind of some of the things I wanted to talk about. They're doing that on their own, but when you're considering what's happening, we did talk about a lot of men want our women to choose better. And so for the men that make good decisions, good life decisions, and good career decisions, I think it's good for our women to take note of that and be open to building families with those types of men.
Okay, and let me just say this. I wholeheartedly agree. I do believe that for the fact that technology is going to be the new wave of the future, that would mean that these men were able to see that there was something coming down the pipeline and they were able to get in on it on the ground floor before it was popular. So, therefore, these are men with foresight. These are men who are very smart and intelligent. And I do think that they need to be appreciated by the conglomerate of black women. Whether you date one or not, you do need to have a certain level of respect, and it should be seen as a good thing. So I am, very happy to do this stream because I am a person that I think, an intelligent man um, should be sought out.
Great to hear that. I agree with you. And as I said, everything boils down eventually or comes down to families, what type of families we build, the emotional health, the physical health and wellness, as well as the resources that they have to build the type of lives that they want to have. And we want our people to have good lives. And so getting into this wave of information technology and all other sorts of technology will get the men in a position where they are mastering their circumstances and elevating themselves, being competitive, being providers, being protectors with the resources that are needed. So that's I'm glad to hear that you're saying that, and I'm glad to share this information as well.
Well, and here's another, little known fact, a little self-disclosure. I do enjoy dating and interacting with men that are labeled as nerds. Now, I want to say on this channel, I do consider myself, like a girly version of a nerd sometimes. So I don't think that's a curse word. I view it as nothing more than a label so that you know what you're dealing with. I
Hmm.
don't view it as a pejorative. And so if someone says it up here, it's not going to be said in that spirit. And I think a lot of people who have chosen education over other things in life have begun to try to own the word and take it back. So, I just
Hmm.
want to put that out there as a disclaimer. This is not going to be, um, you know, this is not going to be a show where it's coming from a bad place.
Great to
See,
hear.
here we go, right here. See, look, me on the panel, and then also Khadijah, both of whom are currently in none mode, just so you know. Ray Alexander, that's a thing that we're
Oh,
jumping off for 2020.
okay.
But
Okay.
also liking nerdy men, right? And so, what do we like? To me, it just kind of is a reflection of what our society has been trained to do. We don't value education, and we sometimes run from education. I'm talking about overall as a whole, because I've
Mhm.
gotten my share of negative looks, negative comments, the bad advice, all because I enjoyed studying and reading. I had a real happiness for it. Now,
Hmm.
here's the other thing: is today in IT, that is one type of man, and so if you guys out there have a type of man or a certain job that you feel like needs to be recognized, respected, and sought out for Black women, then you can come up here and tell your story as well. So today we're talking about men in information technology. And then on another show, if you are the lead off, we can talk about men in other fields. So we're gonna keep it to this brand. And here's another, a widely known fact now because of my beginning of the show. Had I had a man up here that understood about IT, then I would have been able to play the music and it would have been a nice little vibe. So I'm sorry,
That's true. Complex should have came through for us on that.
one
Yeah,
would think, but Complex be busy. He's doing stuff, building cars and, buying Bitcoin and all kinds of stuff. Like he has a lot to do. So I didn't bother
that's all
him.
good. That's all good. Did you want to share some of the? How did you want to? I'm flexible on however you want to do it. Sharing parts of the article, showing different, and we can discuss it however you like.
Okay, so first, what I think that we should do is I want you to talk to me about the type of personality of a man that would have gotten into IT because it's just now being popular.
Hmm.
So, what should we expect in terms of the personality of men that you meet in the IT field? And then while you're doing that, I'm going to put the pictures up.
Okay, great. I think that people that like technology tend to be people who are curious about things. They are thinkers, they are problem solvers, and they get a sense of purpose, or they get a good feeling by resolving issues, solving problems. So this tinkering around with things makes them feel like they are really accomplishing something. So they kind of get, people use in the zone in sports. You have people who do IT, do problem solving, do programming, systems analysis, all types of things, consulting. They do those types of things and they get, I guess, a similar high. They get a good feeling about themselves. They get a sense of accomplishment. And so you want people who are curious about life. They ask a lot of questions. They are very interested in learning, love learning, enjoy learning, curious about life, and willing to take on, step into something that they're curious about and learn about it, and not really be overly concerned about how other people see them. And I do agree with you about the concept of nerd being a positive, because I think as we see more and more of our men get into this and they're doing the types of things as far as they are into the careers that can provide families, do well for families, you'll be having a thing. Oh yeah, he's Complex is a database administrator. He lives over here. He's got this going on. He's got that. Or you have other people. When it gets on the word on the ground that these are really good careers, you can live where you can do well. You can, wear your business suit when you're in corporate America or in business to business. However, you can, be fly as you want to on the weekend. But the main thing I think of is that getting the skills that you need to be competitive, because the society is moving very rapidly with technology, and I want us to be right on that wave and benefiting from all that's happening. Did that
Okay,
kind of
so
give a couple of things?
hold on one second, Ray. Let me just say this, right? So that is the personality of people that we can expect to meet, especially Black men that we can expect to meet in IT. But if you look at this picture, I mean, I want to shout you out because you were able to get some pictures of attractive men. These are not guys that are going to be stumbling over things with the pants 2 inches too short or none of that. Like this guy looks pretty attractive, and he looks like he knows what he's doing. He looks very intense into his work, which I think is cute to see me and nerd out over stuff. So, like that to me, this picture is a lot of I can't do it. There's a whole lot of wires going who knows where. Yeah, I have no idea what's happening here. So his job is definitely in demand because that looks like something that's very complex and important.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I am a straight male, so that was not the basis that I got
I
into.
know you
I
didn't,
kind
but
of,
I'm
I
saying
kind of,
you
yeah,
didn't
I hear
have a
you.
bias. You could
Okay.
tell you didn't have a bias because you just picked out pictures of regular men. These weren't guys that women were going to find unattractive, you know? Like, so I wanted to just say that. Like, so we're talking about women should be more interested in and looking for these men. And here's what you can expect to see. This guy looks like, you know, you wouldn't know that he even worked in anything with computers unless he started to talk to you about it. You
Hmm.
know, he's very blending into society, you know, nothing outlandish. So, you know, you did a good job. I know you weren't thinking of it, but, you know, as a woman, I am.
Glad to hear that. And there are different aspects of it where you have IT consultants. If you want to be some of the sharpest dressing, Kevin Samuels, style OG type guys, they'll be working for Accenture, Deloitte. They'll be working at some of the top IT consulting firms, and they're making that paper. So they actually work in business to business corporate offices. They design systems. They implement systems. They actually interact with higher levels of management to put things together. So those people that are systems consultants, architects, and all these that go to these top type firms, those brothers would be pretty sharply dressed. They would know how to get there. They're making the money to where they can really go to someone like a Kevin Samuels and get their grooming on, get their style on because they're in that and they kind of have to, you know what I mean? So they're learning those things. So that's a good thing. I'm glad to hear you feel that way, and I'm glad that that was an impressive picture on that.
Well, yeah, and you know what? And here's the thing. So what you're saying is these are guys that can't be out of touch with reality. They still have to know their customer base. So if you have a man that's extremely excited about learning, he's going to do that as well in terms of people, learning his audience. So he's
Hmm.
going to be dressing like the men that are in the boardrooms and stuff. He's going to have to fit in order to be able to talk to them about what they need to do and effectively convince them to
Right,
listen to him.
right.
So, you know, the old definition of what we think about when we use the term nerd is out of the window because that's not even, you know, possible. Not with especially not with the growth of this field. So would I be correct in saying that?
You're correct in that, and there's such a variety and some of these guys are coming out of they might start at one level and get a master's degree. Some of them are coming out of specializations where they might get certificates. But when you're working at Accenture, you might be the brother that came out of Alabama A&M, got an MBA from Auburn University, or you may have a brother that went to Morehouse and got a bachelor's in science, mathematics at Morehouse, and an
Mm-hmm.
electrical engineering degree at Georgia Tech. You have a lot of these guys coming into these platforms, into these areas, and also you have other levels of that where a brother might just learn it online, learn their certain certifications. So there are different levels to this. But yeah, if you're gonna on a track where you might be a chief technology officer, chief information officer, those are different tracks on that, or you might be a director of information technology for a school system, for a city. There are different
Mm-hmm.
things, and you have to have those people skills that you're talking about because everything is to some degree at some point things will be about sales. If you're going to
Mm-hmm.
be going to before a school board or a city council and you're selling a $10 million system to a school or a $25 million system, you have to have all those skill sets and you have to dress the part, you got to talk the part and walk the part because you're convincing these people. And that's what a lot of these brothers at Oracle, these Oracle principal consultants, these brothers making paper. And they know how to what we call code switch. I think women call it shifting, but brothers call it code switching. You know, when you with
Mm-hmm.
your boys, you're talking one way, but when you have to go before the school board, the city council, to go into an office, to bring home that paper or bring that money, you'll speak the king's English and bring that contract home so that you can provide for yourself and your family. So those are some things that I really appreciate you saying on that.
Right. And so also the days of men being trapped away in the cubicle in the back of the building is over because he's going to have to get out there. He's going to have to be able to get to know people. And that's another part of the show that we're going to be talking about is because more black men do need to invade the STEM fields, right?
Hmm.
Because
Yes.
let me ask you, is it are you basically there alone? And what I mean by that is where you look around the room in either your studies or either in your job, and you're pretty much the only black man there.
In a lot of ways, yes. Some of the reasons that initially, now I work in healthcare finance, we hire a lot of IT professionals on that. But even when I went to undergrad, I went to predominantly white institutions, undergrad and graduate schools where I got more than one, an additional graduate degree. What I have noticed that I thought that just because I went to a PWI, predominantly white institutions, those were the reasons. But after I got into my profession and started developing, and after I started getting moving up, you still don't have a lot of us in almost everything, especially in our IT departments, because for some reason we may not be getting the exposure, we may not be getting the encouragement, and sometimes we're entering it at a level whereby we're not getting to that. I want us to enter in all levels. So when I
Hmm.
get a brother that's coming out of Prairie View A&M, or if I get a brother that's coming out of North Carolina A&T, then he gets him an MBA or a master's. I want to see him tracked up to be a principal consultant at Oracle. I want to see him to be a senior consultant or even a director at Accenture. I want him, and or if he's going to work in the public sector, I want to see him on that GS14 track. I want to see him to be chief technology officer for a city, for a school system, for a hospital. And so those are the types of things. So education is going to be a part. You may start off with a certificate, but as
Hmm.
you said, once you start getting your game together, you need to have the skills to speak to people, to interact with people. There's some jobs where you'll be isolated. If you're the network operations center, you can be isolated where you do your job, you help people, you run it remotely, or you do that. But if you're going to be making the money, and also let's talk it because money and status, women mating and all this talks about not only is money important, but the status. So at some points
Hmm.
you might start off as a quality assurance analyst, but you don't want to stay there. You want to go to night school. You don't have to borrow a lot of money. Build upon those certificates, get that first degree, get that second degree, and then you'll get to the point. There's a brother named Dr. Dixon that was on Erica Williams' show talking about how important it is, because if you neglect certain things until society improves, those are things that they'll use against you. You might be
Yep.
one of the best guys that can go in there and manage a team. You may be able to know all of this, but if you don't have a bachelor's degree, they might. And if you don't have a bachelor's degree from um, an accredited brick and mortar school. There's a lot of things there. There's been a lot of things with these for-profit colleges that have really misdirected people, where you
Hmm.
can't transfer your credits, put people in a lot of debt, and they kind of sometimes keep people at the bottom of IT. And so I want our brothers to come in and hit and run with Ernst and Young in their technology division. I want them to come and be recruited by HP Enterprise. I want them to be recruited by some of these companies where these brothers are in their 20s already making $80,000,
Okay, now hold
senior
on because
level.
I want to point out the fact that you just really ran down a game plan. And so
Hmm.
that's something that people who are outside of the field need to hear you say. So you mentioned the levels of education and where it needs to come from. You said not getting any loans was the first thing I heard. And
Right.
so is this a degree that you can get that you can reasonably pay for out of pocket?
I believe so. When you
Okay.
prioritize it, say for instance, you can start at a community college and you
Mm-hmm.
can pay that as you go. They have it set up. You can be working part time. And once you get 2 to 3 classes, your company may pay for it. But you don't have to borrow all this money. Like, and you may not, so you can go to community college, and then you can maybe go to a regional school in your area that has a really good business information technology program, computer information systems, or just a variety of things. Or if you want to become an engineer, whatever things that you want to do. But
So
I
wait,
do.
let me ask this. So if you
Hmm.
go to a community college for those first 2 years and you have an associate's degree, can
Hmm.
you find an entry level in the field, an entry level job in the field? And you mentioned that a lot of companies are reimbursing you, and that is indicative from what I know. You didn't say
Hmm.
this part, but I know that that's indicative of a field that's getting ready to grow. So, when I was doing career counseling, we used to have this book called the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And
Hmm.
so it's put together through research from the government with all of the different fields that are expected to grow, and
Hmm.
where the government is going to be putting its money
Right.
behind getting people to come over to a field that's been neglected, or
Hmm.
either to leave one that's saturated, or either one that needs more people of color.
Hmm.
They have a lot of quotas that they have to fill. Like
Hmm.
they have to get, they want to make it more representative of the actual um, population of the United States. So they try to give incentives to companies that then give incentives to employees to get certain degrees, and that means something. One of the
Hmm.
things that we as people forget, right? We may look down on education, but the rest of the world does not.
Right.
That piece of paper from whatever institution you get it, a predominantly white one, or HBCU, what it says is that somebody can vouch for your training and your mastery of certain skills. It
Hmm.
does have a meaning. Now, does it mean that you're better than anybody? No, that's not what's on this channel. What it does mean is that you took the time to follow a course of study. And that's what I want Ray to lay out here. So my question, I went on a tangent, sorry.
No problem.
My question is, once you get a associate's degree from the community college, is it possible to get an entry level job, and then that job pays for you to finish the other 2 years at a bigger university?
Yes, that's actually a
Okay.
very good way to do it because once you get about 2 to 3 classes, they will hire you at a level where you might come in as a quality assurance engineer, um, a service desk analyst, system support analyst, and things like that. So you can start making some good money, and as you proving yourself, utilizing this technology, then yeah, they'll pay it. And I would say take your time because you don't have to rush it. If you got a full-time job, then don't be tempted to borrow money. Take a couple of classes or a couple per semester and make that, take 3 to 5 years to get that degree. Even if it's six, as long as you're on track and you're not getting into debt. And people are
Hmm.
impressed by that. I've seen that. People are impressed by the fact, especially management. They're impressed by the fact they say, well, this guy came in here and he was on the service desk and he moved up from service desk analyst one to service desk analyst three. He got his bachelor's in systems management. Now he's one of our top database administrators.
Hmm.
Or he got picked up by another company and they're training him as a healthcare information systems analyst. So once you get in there, and like I said, I hope that the reality is that we're not getting the exposure, and I think that there may be a little bit of fear of the
Hmm.
unknown as the reason because I think that we want to get into certain things. I'm hoping that, but I think there's a fear. We're not getting the exposure, we're not getting the encouragement. Say, for instance, when you play sports, you almost get immediate gratification in the sense that if you can shoot a shot, the girls will like you. In education, it's a longer curve. It takes you longer to get your degree. You got to get out in the workforce, and that's very competitive. And you got to make a certain living, and then you've got to show yourself as worthwhile. That you are able to purchase and maintain a home. That you are able to pay these bills and these resources. So that takes you a little bit longer, but
Yeah,
it
the
may be
women need to
similar.
have patience, I believe. And look, I'm gonna do this, right? You see this picture? You sent me this picture too, and she is so cute. Now here's the thing. I'm gonna start like a pep squad for nerd groupies. And so how would you feel about
That's all good. It's all good. I got you covered. It's all good.
that? Now I used to actually own a shirt that says this.
Oh, really?
It was black. And I had.
I thought that kind of looked like you. I thought it kind of looked like
Well,
you.
you
Does
know
she
what?
look?
She's lighter than me, so she ain't pulling it off. See, I'm brown and mine was black, and it
Okay.
had the heart with red and glitter. It was cute, and it was a definite conversation starter. And it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt, right? That at the
Hmm.
time the guy I was dating was kind of nerdy. So I used to wear that shirt when we went out, and he enjoyed it, and it would make people come up and talk to us. So it was actually pretty fun. I will say, like, I've had a past. It wasn't all bad. Sometimes it was just fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about life. The game, the mating game is all about life. We need to really think about that because ultimately we're coming together to build families, build communities, build cities, build states, improve nations, and it starts from that basis. And when people are taking on these challenges and doing these things, that may have a lot of guys, there are a lot of prizes. One of the prizes that you're getting promoted, you're making this money. You can get a home, you can get you a nice car, but some people feel that's a part of something, a good reason to make something of yourself and get in there. How do you feel about that?
Well, let me just say this from the woman's perspective, right? They're making like smart houses.
Hmm.
So at some point in the pretty foreseeable future, houses you're gonna need an IT guy for your house. Like
Yeah.
they right now, what they have is a bunch of apps on my phone that I can use to like if I install certain things, I can use my phone to control my house, and it
Hmm.
already runs the alarm system and all that. At some point, they're gonna be like there were people I heard a couple of years ago that were looking into making a smart house. So it's like a smartphone, but it's your whole entire house. So you're gonna need an IT guy. So in that case, if you're married to one, that's money that you're saving. It's like if you used to have been married to like a construction worker or a plumber or an electrician or an HVAC guy, you don't have to worry about spending money outside of the house to get those done. So
Hmm.
eventually, IT is going to be the move for the type of man that you can get if you prefer to not have to pay money out. So,
Hmm.
just from women, right? That's how we think. And so,
Okay.
in case y'all needed a little bit of motivation, I think that would be a good idea. I think that's a good topic. So, what do you think about that?
I think that's great. I think we have to be open and honest about that. I don't think like I remember when Steve Harvey wrote a book a few years ago. He said that if it were not for women, a lot of men would just have a very simple lifestyle.
I heard
Wouldn't
that
want to
before. And
have
what
a.
he actually
Uh
said is if women would sleep with you in the cardboard box, men wouldn't buy houses. And that is just
huh.
bad. Come on, man. You can want a house. Maybe you need to elevate her train of thought.
Okay.
Just because
Okay.
women are willing to go along with it doesn't make it okay.
I hear you. I hear you. And so, yeah, and that's a part of this. And I think it's good for us to be holistic, as the generals talks about, that we need to be thinking about what is the end game in this? And is it just to buy flashy things, or is it to build healthy families? Is it to have healthy, meaningful relationships at some point based on love, respect, and honor. And these are some tools. I know we're talking about technology, but the end game at some point has to be, what am I going to do? Am I helping someone have a good quality of life? Am I happy with myself? Am I happy with my friends and my family? And do we have a good life? So those are some things
Mhm.
that come to into mind when I think about that.
Well, and see, one of the things that I do on this channel and how your video fits in on my channel, is that I'm talking to people about Black community and culture reform. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's something we used to do, but right now we need to start changing our thought process over to being more open-minded to
Hmm.
people who are, who have basically they went through the education to do so. They have a level of expertise, and I think that
Hmm.
that could be something beneficial. I feel like we in the community need one of everything, and that includes people in all of the different STEM fields.
Hmm.
So I guess my answer to that is that yeah, there's a lot of stuff we need to change.
Right. And I think that the millennial and Generation Z, with the right type of guidance, as well as the people who are Gen Xers and above, with the right type of guidance and information, we can make the right types of moves. I'm hoping that certainly I'm not convinced completely that people don't want to get into it. I think that they don't understand it. There's a little bit of fear. Things are moving very rapidly. They're not getting the type of examples that they need. They said, I don't know, it might have been true. They said that when the Cosby Show was on way back, that increased the number of black applicants to medical school. That's interesting. I would think that you would want to go ahead and do that type of work on your own. But if you need to see an example like that that inspires you, we don't want to be dependent on that. But I think that our churches, I think that our leadership in a variety of areas
Mm-hmm.
needs to be talking about that. I even heard about TD Jake putting a foundation together to introduce people to information technology. So that's a good thing to hear that he's understanding, even though he's a spiritual man, he understands the importance of these
Of science.
technologies. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's what I think is like. I want people to understand that the two are not mutually exclusive. You can be religious and still understand and believe in science because, that's knowledge that God wants us to have. And
Hmm.
also, that's us understanding what He already put in place a long time ago. He's not against science.
Hmm.
God has never told anybody to just sit somewhere and pray everything away.
That's right. That's right. I
So let me ask you this, right?
Okay.
What do you think is the biggest fear that stops black men from going into the tech field? And here's the thing, ladies, we're talking about black men in technology today. So if there is a woman in technology that would be able to grace me with an interview, we would do that. Okay. I believe this channel is going to be based on the people and their requests. So I'm going to put this guy back up here because I want y'all to see. Look, he's dressed appropriately. He has a whole, like a theme going on here. Things match. It looks nice. He's well groomed. His hair is now. He may not have the waves, but hey, look, we don't need that, right? I don't care about
Okay.
the waves. I care about the
Okay.
look at this outfit though. I wonder what the rest of the outfit looks like. But so like let's start opening our minds for what we think we're gonna get if there's a black man in information technology or any of these STEM fields, especially computer science.
Hmm. True. True. And the necessity of it, if you don't mind, I'm just going to read. I don't know if we'll what's happening on that. It is saying that, and I'm glad you talked about the Occupational Outlook Handbook. It says within the next decade, approximately 80% of all jobs are going to be STEM related, science,
Mm-hmm.
technology, engineering, and math related. And so, if that's the truth on that, we need to talk about that and encourage it. And then the other part of that, it does say the national wage for all STEM occupations is $87,570, which is double the national average for non-STEM occupations.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting to where you can make the money, that you can do the things, and it's in high demand. They still have the Occupational Outlook Handbook still coming out every year. We still advise
Okay.
people on that, and it's a good place to go. And so what we need to do is just also in these arenas let the women and men know, hey, that you're doing a good job getting into this. And it shouldn't, I don't know how it got to the point. Maybe, what was the gentleman's, Steve Urkel? I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe that extreme made it look really bad. But my brother got his degree in physics at LSU, and he was always a builder. He built model planes. He would take all types of he would take the what like TV sets he would break it down and bring it back, which is what engineers do. So you have a lot of people with those curiosities, but we have to cultivate it now. If you have sons, I really advise putting them into STEM camps, robotics, these day camps that they have on that robotics camp. Make sure they're developing their math skills. Make sure that they're developing at all levels above grade level, because they're going to once they get the understanding that there are really opportunities on there, they'll move in the right direction. Right now, I think you asked me what the greatest fear. I think that it may be a fear of failure, fear
Mm-hmm.
fear of the unknown, and it kind of immobilizes people. And that's why we need good mentors to say things that, you know what, try it. One of my mentees that I had, you might think that, you know, you're coming out of the high school, you got this all these things, but they might not be as confident. And a lot of times as a coach, if you coached in the field, you say things like, I have full confidence that you're gonna make that shot. So
Mm-hmm.
when you get out there, I don't have no excuses. You're gonna make that shot. We win in this game. Well, even when you go into this competitive school, I'm confident of your abilities. You graduated from the high school of health professions in the top 5% of your class. I'm expecting you to go to college and kick ass.
And
So
let
I
me say
yeah.
this.
Okay.
You mentioned somebody that you know that as a kid has always been building things and taking them apart and putting them back. We know that our parents in the black community frown upon that such that they essentially extinguish that fire out of our children. If you notice a child that is overly interested in how things work and he wants to take it apart and put it back together, yes, it's irritating, but I think you'll be rewarded if you have patience as a parent and don't
Mhm.
squelch that in him, but instead find something safe that he can take apart and put
Mhm.
back together, and then
Mhm.
get him into programs where people can teach him what it means, because that child is going to have questions that you can't answer. We also know black parents don't like questions they can't answer, right?
Mhm.
So maybe you will not be the person that can teach him in that hobby. A lot of black parents want to push their kids towards sports because that's when you can see the fastest money and the praise, like you said earlier. But
Mhm.
not everybody is naturally inclined to sports. If you have a child that is naturally inclined towards figuring out how things work, mechanical, all anything engineering, that's what all of those letters mean something, right?
Yes.
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. If you have a child that is naturally inclined towards those things, we need one of those. So the praise may not be coming right now, but it'll definitely come on the back end, because men in STEM, like you were mentioning, make double the national average. So you
Mhm.
may not get the millions of dollars where you can be flashy and show off in front of your friends, but your child is definitely going to live a comfortable life, and they're going to be happy that they were able to follow their passion. And that's
Mhm.
how we identify the kids that are going to be good at it, because you get inventors when you have people that are naturally passionate about a field. So a kid that's already geared towards being in one of those fields, they're going to be on the top of that field. They're going to come up with new things in that field because they enjoy it so much and they literally learned and lived the ins and outs of it. So as a parent, we have to be willing to support this. And I want to read this from Complex, right? He says, I hate that intelligent black men have to be equated with some geek nerd imagery. Black men are multifaceted. Yes, exactly. That's what we're doing here today, right? So the imagery in the past we know was Steve Urkel. That's not what's happening nowadays. That's not what you see in technology, because these men have to be out there to talk to people. They're still going to have to develop their social skills. So, what happens is all the additional stuff that we require our kids to do, maybe you let them do some things in STEM. Maybe they're if your kid's school has a robotics club. If they don't have one, maybe you can start one for your child, or put them at a school where they have one, right? If
Mhm.
there's a
That's right.
mathematics club, if there is a science club, right? Their science fairs, or at least, do they still have science fairs? Because my kids had, like, they haven't said anything about a science fair.
Well, maybe because of COVID, but they still have them, and they might be
Okay,
calling it robotics fairs and all that. But anything with STEM, they might call it a STEM fair. I did
okay,
also, if you don't mind, I wanted to quickly go over something that you
yes.
did mention. A lot of things are also raising children is also has a lot of class elements in it because,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to show this. There's a woman named Ruby Payne, and she's an educator. She became a superintendent. She taught at a poor. She was a superintendent of a poor school district, superintendent of a upper middle class school district, and then she was a superintendent of an elite school district, like a Highland Park type school district. She
Mm-hmm.
saw parenting at different levels. Upper middle class people tend to have their children, they see a picture of themselves. So when a child is curious, oh, tell me about that. What do you think about this? explore, explore, explore. Now, sometimes poor people who have less, who lack, they don't want things to be broken. Leave that alone. Stop doing
Hmm.
that. Why are you taking that
Exactly.
apart? I don't have any money to get that repaired. So they're looking at things differently. So I think that since we do have a significant part of our population that is still lower middle class, that
Hmm.
parenting is in that sector, but I don't think that we would have to. I don't know if it's I hope that we don't see it as just everyone, even though that's a significant part of parenting because of that large mass. And what we need to do with professionals like yourself, educators, and people who are in a variety of helping professions is we've got to help guide them to help their children be the best they can be, because that discouragement might be because of their fear of
Right.
their inability to do things. But upper middle class parents, they encourage their children to do a lot, and they're the ones that say, yeah, I expected this of you. I mean, they'll say things like, me and your mother have mbas from wherever, and we're doing this. I know you got, it's in your genes. You going to college, it's going to be which one, and you completing it, and you need to go, because they want their children to be at a certain level. As a parent, they will say, okay, grown up this way, and I know you have these abilities, so you're going to do these types of things that we're seeing. Now, people that come from deprived backgrounds, from a not just a mindset of scarcity, but a lived experience of
And an
scarcity.
expectation of
Hmm.
scarcity too.
Yeah.
And here's one thing I want to say, like, okay, so in terms of parenting, right?
Hmm.
What you said is absolutely correct. That's why I'm trying to talk to the families that might be in the lower class or lower middle class,
Hmm.
in economically, of course,
Mhm, mhm,
and below. Is I want them to use thought replacement. It's not about the one thing that your child took apart, because the first thing that they take apart, if you approach it such that, oh, you're interested in doing that, so let me find a way, an outlet for you to do this and learn and get your need, your fun and leisure time needs met, then there won't be other things that are broken. So it's one thing, and then it was a sacrifice that lets you into your child's world about what they're going to be good at and what their passion is and what they're interested in. So
mhm,
it was a means to an end. So think about it in that manner. And yes, I do talk a lot about replacing our parenting styles in the Black
mhm.
community. And
Right.
here's another thing: upper middle class people view athletes, musicians as their entertainment. So they gear their children towards something else if they can help it.
Mhm. That's
and
that's
that
true.
and that's just their view of certain jobs. They already have like either a family business that they want their child to take over, or either they have a viewpoint of something non-entertainment related that they want their child to go into. So we can do a show on that if you like, about the different things to expect in terms of parenting and their decisions and what it is that they guide their kids towards. So
Mhm,
I'm hoping that this show today can open up parents' minds so that you not forcing your children to go into STEM if they can't do it and they're not good at it, or either they're not interested enough, but being there for the children that are, drawn in by these career fields. If your child is being drawn in, you let them do that, and you don't
yeah.
look at it as a negative.
Mhm. I agree with you. And so, as you said, what are some of the fear? Like you said, the fears. Fear of failure, fear of, I guess, being ostracized. But as you said, that's being less and less, because I think that people are understanding. We're seeing examples of intelligent black men like Robert Smith, who is a chemical engineer by training from Cornell, who has an MBA from Columbia University, who is worth $5 billion now. And he went
Hmm.
through. He was a chemical engineer. Then he became a private equity investment banker. Now he has a private equity fund, and his both of his parents are educators with PhDs. So those are some things that are kind of come into to mind to that. But I really am impressed that you would encourage and hope. I'm open to having additional discussions. But I did want to acknowledge that class related issue is hampering even for aspirational people. When you come from a lower middle class and you're aspirational, there's some issues on that, but that's why it's so good. It's so important for black men and black women who are going to college to land in the right setting. When I
Hmm.
advise someone, then they're pre-med, pre-dent, and they go to Xavier, or if it's a woman, she goes to Spelman, a guy go to Morehouse, or some of the schools I know they can do it. I don't have any problem because I see what Xavier does. Every year they get over 90% of their people that apply to med school, dental school in. And they've done this for the last 20 years. They're the number one producer of black medical doctors and dentists in the US. They beat all of the universities. So when they go there, but when I hear them go to a place that's really, really big and they didn't go to that high school, if they go to a school with 50,000 students and they're going to be, and they went to a small school, high school, and they didn't go to that setting, I'm concerned about that. I'd rather them go to Xavier and then go to the University of Michigan Medical School
Mm-hmm.
after they've finished it because Xavier will have them so equipped that they will go there and kick ass and come out the top 5% of the University of Michigan Medical School. So those are some of the things that we can definitely discuss and continue on. You know.
Right. So what I'm hearing is that, like, so I know everybody wants to go to the more prestigious schools, but you're not going to get as much attention. You're not going to get as much in-depth knowledge of the subject matter, I think, if
Right.
you go to those status schools, because to me, I believe that society, things that have a high status, they're in name only. The fact
Okay.
that you're there is supposed to mean something. So in typical human behavior, a lot of people then just kind of like slack on the education that they're giving you. So if you go to a smaller school where they're hungry to make a name for themselves, they're going to give you more of that one-on-one attention, and then they're able to, because they don't have 78 people in their office hours every day.
Right.
They
Right.
can.
Right.
So that's a
If
good point. I'm glad you brought that up. And then it also drives more business, more loans, more funding to HBCUs that give us first rights of refusal.
mhm. Mhm.
So that's
And that's
more ways of bringing money in our community. But I'm gonna let you go and pick it up. And after this part, we're gonna talk about the article because you came prepared today, right? You brought an article. We're gonna talk about that article, and then we'll open up the panel, guys. If y'all have any questions or y'all have anything y'all want to add.
that sounds great. I'm open.
Okay. Oh, so you were done with that part?
Oh, I was done with that part. I just was
Oh,
adding that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's what point I wanted to make. Well, you were talking about the importance of not being matched to the wrong school, and what happens is when people come from backgrounds where they don't have a lot of people who can guide them properly, then
mm-hmm,
like you said, they'll see the big school numbers and this is prestige. And if you've been well equipped for that, if you went to a private college preparatory school and you've been doing that type of work at that level, then it probably wouldn't be anything for you to go to Rice or to go to a Georgia Tech. But you may need to go to Morehouse to get to Georgia Tech and get that master's, and because they can kind of help you do both of those. So since so
mm-hmm,
many of our kids are coming from family circumstances and socioeconomic circumstances where they are kind of isolated, you know what I mean? They're going to these schools and they don't have the support systems that I see other groups, and you need that. I mean, you have kids starting out wanting to be, a civil engineer, electrical engineer, but they're at a big school like Virginia Tech, where if they went to North Carolina A&T, which produces one of the largest cohorts of black engineers in the country, it's
mm-hmm,
about if they do the work, if they're committed to themselves, it's about a 90% chance that if they do that work and be committed, they're going to get that engineering degree and they'll be high. They're sought after. Companies go to A&T, look, and they fight over students. They're looking when all these companies are looking for black students, they're going to these black engineering schools, and you're getting multiple offers coming out of school in your early 20s. And so those are good things, but you're absolutely right. Individual attention, these many of these professors feel that they have a calling to help these students, and that's a good environment where some of these big schools, sometimes you're just a number, and
mm-hmm.
and you get lost in the mix.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said it because when I say it, I'm told I'm complaining. So at least this is another person that's saying it.
Oh
And
yes,
like Khadijah said, you need to get to know your teachers better because they'll be able to give you. My hope is that you have teachers that have been in the field that they're teaching about. And so
Hmm.
therefore they'll be able to give you some intimate knowledge, things that most people wouldn't know unless they've practiced in the field. So that's my
Right.
hope. So
Right.
okay, so what I'm gonna do now, in order to bring up the article, do you want me to put the article on the screen from screen sharing, or do you want to just talk about what it says?
You can put it on for screen sharing. That's fine. That way
Okay.
we can kind of go over it.
Okay, so hold on, let me share the screen so I can make sure I get the right one.
Go ahead
I
and work it out, Topaz. I know you got it.
I'm struggling up here, and it had to be it had to be the stream where people talk about technology, and that's the one I'm gonna struggle on, right? Okay, so now can y'all what? Why is it not okay? Sharing this tab StreamYard, yeah. What's the deal? So hold on. Maybe I need to take that off. Okay, so can y'all read that?
Not yet. Coming through in just a minute.
Like, is it big enough? Because so the headline is "Ladies, don't waste your pretty. Show love for nerds." Now, this is interesting because I didn't know that somebody there's a book. She wrote a book and she blogs about this. So this is a big thing.
Now I see it on StreamYard. Is it also on YouTube? Is it showing on YouTube yet? Let
It
me get
should
back
be
there.
because I have YouTube open on my phone following along. And so I know I see it on the yeah, but it's not big enough for me. Maybe but that maybe that's just me.
Okay. It's all good. So you can, if you don't mind, just kind of reading. Yeah, her name is Demetria Lucas rather, and she used to write for Essence a little while back, and I know she was on one of those TV shows. I think she has a YouTube channel, and she kind of encourages women, to be their best selves. And there's another woman named they call her the Princeton Mom, and she talked
Hmm.
about how important it is to connect with people while you're in school, while you're younger, because you're not going to get that opportunity like that. But if you want to go ahead and go over that because I think you're reading it would kind of add some things to it because that's what she talked about. If you like
Okay.
to, yeah.
Okay, so the title, Ladies Don't Waste Your Pretty, Show Love for Nerds. I agree. Women that eventually want to marry and have a financially stable and secure life don't have the luxury to choose poorly in the romantic marketplace. Making it in life is tough enough, but to exacerbate that difficulty by dating or mating with men that have a very poor chance of ever becoming financially successful is basically playing against your own best interest. No matter how much you do, you'll still end up losing. Relationship author and blogger Demetria Lucas asserts in her book, "Don't waste your pretty," i.e., your beauty, your body, your time, or your love, on men that are not making the right choices to win in the game of life. Don't waste your pretty on men that are not investing in themselves to acquire the skills and credentials required to be financially viable in the 21st century. Your quality of life, as well as the standard of living that your children will experience, will largely depend on the man that you marry. I think that she's making some great points here. Like, here's the thing. Now, women can't go rushing over to all of the men in the STEM fields in mass, and the reason is because y'all look, no, I know.
Okay.
Look, okay, so you're a man. I know you're like, well, what's wrong with that, right? Okay,
Okay.
here's the problem is because you guys, I don't think that y'all should be like, I'm never gonna say, like, I do not think that polygamy is a good thing in our society, the way things are set up right now. So
Hmm.
there's gonna be all these women coming over, and you're gonna also, if women come over there in mass, you're gonna get women who are coming over there with negative intentions. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so y'all are going to have to weed these women out, and the best way to weed women out, you already have it. Women that can understand what it is that you have to offer, right?
That's right.
I don't want a big flood of women over there who are just there for the money. That's messed up. I don't think that that's something that I want y'all to deal with. But you guys are men, you might feel like you can handle it. So, understand. See, I'm a woman, so this is going to be coming from a woman's point of view.
Okay.
So she continues. She says, "It is much wiser to invest your time with smart, good guy nerd." Now, okay, so wait a minute. Here's the thing, right? Now, this is a thing that I've heard a lot of men who have degrees and that are considered intelligent say. They're considered the good guy. And in our community, the good guy is always the one that's supposed to be bad, the one that loses. So if she's writing this book and she's saying, yeah, they're smart, good guys, and they're nerds, I think she's sending women over there that's going to have negative intentions and they're going to just cause a lot of chaos and irritation. Not that I don't believe that y'all can handle that or can see through it, but why even have to deal with that?
Well, in the main, I would think that the guys who are savvy enough to get, when they're younger, but as they mature, they'll be savvy enough to have discernment and to understand who's for real. And then, it's a value system thing too, whereby you need somebody that who understands you, who can talk your language. So when women come over there and they're just about the game, they just want to be there's nothing wrong with wanting to be taken care of because women are attracted to financial security to provide for a family. But it's different if all you're there is just to spend, spend, spend. You don't have high regard for the person. So I believe that the guys, as they mature, they'll come to an understanding on how to discern who's there for the real deal and who's there for the game. And then the compatibility issue. Kind of nerds do marry. I've seen women who are doctors marry other doctors, or engineers marry other engineers, or people doing things similar. It doesn't always have to be that way, but you've got to respect their intelligence. You have to respect their accomplishments if you're going to be their life partner, spouse. And so I think that although you have some there, and the smart women would be kind of savvy. The woman, the Princeton mom, she'll be there, but she'll understand how to position herself and let that man flourish. And after everybody else has missed the musical chairs, she'll be the one that he'll really want to marry. She won't be the
Mm.
one that's Miss Flashy. She won't be the one that's trying to sleep with everybody because that's going to label her really badly. So I think that these guys will develop the discernment that they need to as they mature.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is that this is basically women's thought process that I'm having right now, which is, appropriate because I'm a woman. And so you guys aren't really worried about what happens when women come over and they have like negative intentions. I just don't want a bunch of women saying, "Oh, well, I've been dogged out by all of these other men who are supposedly bad boys that I wanted, and now these are the good guys. They're never going to hurt me." Well, you know what? It'll be painful if they dump you, right? So that's
Right.
going to be a hurt,
Hmm.
and you don't get to then go off and say, "Oh, well, they did me so wrong." No. So, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a bunch of BS, but hopefully it all evens itself out, right?
Hopefully so. And I think, like you said, the compatibility issues, the people that have the certain types of values, they're aspirational, your woman, your spouse, you should complement each other. And I mean complement with an E, and then you should also complement each other with an I. So that means that person kind of completes some areas that you don't have, and that person can also praise you, and you praise them and complete some areas that they don't have. So that's complementarianism in marriage or even in relationships. But those are the types of things. Generally, if they're just over there for the money, they'll be found out. And if they're and they can't really take it. That's why when I hear people, there's certain groups that are saying, hey, learn how to go and sit single at a country club or whatever. But once she opens her mouth, she's going to expose that she's not for that environment, you know.
Right.
And it would take a long time. There's a woman named the who has a thing called the wife school. It'll take several
Oh, I remember
years.
her.
You
I
remember?
actually used to watch her Facebook page, and then she had so like, well, we'll talk about it later, but I
Okay,
used to
yeah.
watch her Facebook page.
It'll take several years to acclimate to upper middle class, not just by income, but by
Right.
your value systems and behavior. So as you get into that, if you're willing to adapt to that environment, then yes. But you have a lot of people that make very, very high incomes, but they still act very. I don't. I guess you use the term low class, love and hip hop, basketball wives. They're married to millionaires, but they want to jump and fight each other. People in the upper middle class don't fight physically like that. They fight through the courts. You
And
feel?
also subliminally as well as financially. Now I'm gonna finish the rest of this sentence because I have one other thing that I want to say. Right now,
Okay.
in terms of what you just said, here's one thing I would suggest. Just my advice would be not to get a woman that's new to those circles. Let her have lived in those circles for about a good 2 years, because at least then she survived on her own and she understands what it takes for those values to not just be something you know, but to be in you, for you to have
Okay.
lived by those values. And that would prove that she's committed to doing so if she can do so for herself, like live by those values on her own for 2 years. That way you're not doing a whole lot of teaching and redirecting and all of that. Right? That's just my advice.
I
Now
think
the rest.
that's good advice. I think that's very good advice. Yeah.
Okay, see, thanks. So now this is the last part of that sentence. She says, it is much wiser to invest your time with smart, good guy nerds who have demonstrated their potential by overcoming the challenges that keep many other men economically mediocre. And to me, I feel like she's telling women to come over there for the money. And what I wanted this stream to be about is women not just coming to men in the STEM field just because of the money, but understanding that personality of a man that is interested in, thrives on, and excels in STEM fields, and being able to truly like that. Because if you don't like that personality, you're gonna argue, y'all are gonna divorce and all of that. Like, don't even go over there bothering these men if you are not going to truly like them. The money's a bonus,
Hmm.
because the money in STEM isn't that fast money like rappers or athletes. It's
Hmm.
over time. See, when you marry a rapper or athlete, that money is fast up front, but by the time he's 35, he's retired, and now you got to live the rest of your lives together off of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whereas in STEM, the money up front, it says the national average, like you mentioned earlier, for all STEM occupations is 87,570, nearly double the national average wage. So you're still getting more than most people around you, but it's going to take a while for for black men in STEM to get to the millionaire mark. But once they get there, it's pretty much going to be for the rest of their time in that field.
Yes. It's like a steady climb. I
Right.
apologize, didn't mean to interrupt you. It's like a
No,
steady
no,
climb. You
you're
kind
good.
of start off pretty well, but by the time they start getting in their 40s, they're in their six figures, or sometimes earlier than that. But a steady income over a long period of time is better than a gold rush where you make a killing and then you broke. If you make that because you can go through that life cycle, you can start investing money, get that first
Hmm.
home, get that 401k together, send them children those children to school. So that's what I think that women are saying to other people, that when they're ready to have children, they need that stability. They may just say, well, I don't want to get out of it until the she might want to take the 5 years off to go
Hmm.
ahead and when the children are really small, or maybe 10 years, but she might take the first 5 years off and say, I'm going to do some part-time work while they're in school, or I'm going to do this, that, and the other. So yeah, so it's very important that they be with someone who understands, like, not just there's something that you hit on, not just the cognitive intelligence, but the emotional intelligence. Because I think those are the things, because both parties, the man and the woman, they have to be compatible with each other. They have to know how to speak to each other, how to disagree peaceably, and how to build the
Hmm.
relationship. So if it's just a cash transaction, I don't think that's going to be good. Even for the people who are millionaires, like a lot of these pro athletes, the type of women, some of them will find a nice woman every now and then, but they have a lot of women, and the guys know that the women are attracted to them because of their money. But if you're just there to get paid, it's just, if and some people can deal with that. But I think for more middle class and more upper middle class men and women, they probably tend to want a long-term relationship that they could sustain over the life cycle, with someone who's honest and respectable, and they can grow young, start off young and grow old together. I don't think they want to go zigzagging and into a whole lot of relationship if they don't have to.
Right. Now, you know what? We got a interesting question in the chat, and it makes me remember. I don't think we did a proper introduction,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So, Queen of the South, one of the regulars in the chat, she's hilarious. She asked who you were on the panel. So now let me ask you, what chats have you been in around here in this sector in YouTube? Where will we find a man with this type of information?
Well, I used to be. Now I've been on some interesting chats. When the Black Crane Trust used to do things, I kind of commented on some of their things. I do like some of the things that Erica Williams talks about. Every now and then, yeah, I'll go over to see what's happening at Bernard Riley or the breakdown with Sister George and C. Rose. But
I think
also, I
those
do.
two channels are where I saw you was
Okay.
Bernard Riley and Breakdown.
Okay, yeah. And I do some mainstream chat. So yeah, and I'm just very curious about yeah, yeah. Did that kind of answer the question for you?
Well, that's part of it. And then the
Okay.
other thing is introduce yourself to the people. So, what do you do? What values do you hold? Because I think that information, once they get to know you, they'll know where you're coming from. And that's kind of like your credentials, what you've
Okay.
seen. I know you've talked to me about it
Hmm.
before, but letting the people know you know what you're talking about when you're talking about this subject.
Okay. I do medical healthcare finance. I do it at the senior management level. I graduated from two separate Big 12 universities. I kind of have sometimes because of doxing, you kind of have to be careful. So I do explain what I do, but I kind of have to be careful. I'm basically a traditionalist in the sense that I do believe I'm a person of faith. I do believe in marriage and family and leadership coming from a fair-minded male who respects
Hmm.
and loves his wife as
Hmm.
Christ loved the church, and also to be a leader. Basically, my values are respecting people, standing up for our people to advance themselves, appreciating what our ancestors overcame to give us the great opportunities that we have today, and just working for a better society and being compassionate for our people right now so that we can really advance ourselves. There's some ups and downs, but it's a great time. One of my pastors said that we are living the lives of our ancestors' greatest fantasies. They could
Hmm.
have never imagined that we are well-educated professionals, that we are living, we're able to elect senators with a black majority now, that we're running cities. Some of them are ups and downs, but I think that those are the things that are important to me. And I do believe in marriage and family. I believe that we need to really work on putting that together based on based on love, respect, and honor. And I think that married couples need really good support systems. Now, in the previous church I was with, I did set up a lay program for premarital studies. I'm sorry, not premarital study, premarital counseling at one church. I haven't been affiliated with that in a while, but I'm interested in those things. I'll not only the premarital side, I think there needs to be marriage enrichment for couples that at least that they do that yearly, going to a specialized so that they can grow. Because I think that when we leave these couples alone, they have to figure it out everything and they're just not equipped. We have institutions, churches, families, elders that are supposed to help people avoid the major pitfalls. So that's did that kind of help a little bit more?
Yes, it did. And now let me
Okay.
say this, right? So me and Father L, I don't know if y'all are familiar with him, right? He's a newcomer around these YouTube streets. Um, we did a panel like last week about things women should be looking for in men to avoid the pitfalls of getting hurt and damaged in your interactions with men, right? And so you
Mhm.
named a lot of the things that we were talking about. One, there's financial stability. There is your ability to commit because you are already married. There is foresight because you had to be able to know that this was a field that was going to need black men in it. There's your ability to commit to a goal and complete it. There's religion. Like you talked about a lot of different things that you hold as value systems, as well as things that you would find in black men if you were dating a black man in the computer science field. And so that's like, I hope this to make a series so other men with other fields, please, email me and we can set up those live streams because this is part of a series that I would like to do called Black Women Choosing Better. Now, women, after they watch these series, they can no longer say that they didn't know. That's my point. I used to end my uploads with, if you heard this video, you can't say you don't know. Now you do. So women listening to this, this is what it's like, this is what you would get, and this is who qualifies. Other than that, wait till we have some men in different other fields and other personality traits, and maybe you can qualify for one of them. Now we got some questions. Queen of the South. Is this man married or single? He sounds very mature with his talking points. Yes, he's married. He's fully married, but he can help you as women, right? He can help us to identify other like-minded men who might be single right now. See, this is how it works in networking in a true community. Men like Mr. Ray Alexander here will be able to let you know if there are some single men who have like-minded talking points who are also mature. And he mentioned marital counseling. So you guys went to it, or I think I heard you say something about like participating in counseling other people. And so he's giving back to the community, making sure other people who are just now starting their journey of marriage have somebody they can look up to that's been through it, and somebody that they can answer to and get questions answered. Now Professor Black Ops says, MGTOW, look, we're not doing that today. This is a channel where we find the love over here, Professor Black Ops. Okay, you're gonna get a woman over here and stop acting like that. Let's see.
Okay.
What else do we have here? And this is Mr. Ray Alexander's channel. He's been in the chats, so y'all see Mr. Ray around here. Respectfully wave because this is a married man, but just high five or what have you. Then the Queen of the South comes back and says, I can tell. I feel like men like this need to speak to men as well. Absolutely. Jay Shine, don't be coming in here laughing now. This is a real facts, all right? This is true over here now. So, Mr. Ray Alexander, you have anything you want to add before we open up the panel?
That's pretty good on that. I just try to. I appreciate you for saying that, and I was trying to you kind of pulled things out. I was trying to kind of be. Um, well, yeah, that's fine. You kind of brought some things out, and I was trying to just kind of speak in generalities, but you were able to pull things out and see where I'm coming from, and I appreciate that because, like you said, I do believe in marriage. I do believe in committed and families, and I think that we do need more committed black families that are healthy, that come together on a basis of love. Because I think that when I hear people calling into a lot of these shows, just transactional sex
Mm-hmm.
and men running through 300 to 500 women, women maybe going through a whole lot of men. I
Mm-hmm.
don't see that that's going to be a good end for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Right.
everybody may not be a virgin, but you don't have to. I don't see the ideal. And I kind of feel that we don't have the luxury to do that. I think that we really are in a situation where we need to make positive, productive moves as people. And it starts with the family. And people will
Right.
tell you that over and over. And healthy families build healthy communities, build healthy nations. And so that's where I just wanted to come with on that.
Right, and I'm glad you said that because I want that documented on wax on here on YouTube. And a man said that because see, when I say it, right, I'm just saying there is not like it's a better feeling when you can find that one person that just does it for you.
Mhm. Or you learn to love them for who they are. Because if a person gives you 80% of what you need, why go out for 20% more? If they give you 75% of what you need, why go out for that 25%? And I think this is
I
maybe
can
a
answer that.
go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so in human behavior, right? We have mental fallacies, things that we do that don't make any sense. The people that are getting 80% out of somebody that they want go and chase the 20% because they're comparing that 80% to 100% that they have not encountered yet. So, by all intents and purposes, this person with the 80%, you're with them because they have the highest percentage of the things you like. And so that's why you're in the relationship with them. It's why you didn't leave them in the first place. So
Mhm.
they think that 20%, they're giving that person that shows up with the additional 20%, they're giving them the credit of the person that's in their life right now with the 80%. And then they later find out that if you remove the person that had the 80%, this is still just 20%. So they're not comparing that 80% to the 77, to the 60, to the 20. They're not comparing the 80% person to that. They're comparing the 80% person to the 100% to not feel fulfilled. And then they're applying the credit of the 80% person to the person that shows up with the 20%. So it's a mental fallacy. It's mental gymnastics that don't really make a whole lot of sense, but they do it anyway because it's what you see in front of you instead of being able. That's why I talk a lot about foresight. That is a person that's looking at what they see in front of them. They can't see the forest for the trees. Does that make sense?
Right, right. Let's see. And I think that we have to have them get an understanding that you got what you need. I mean, very rarely in a business, can you get 80% of what you need on that? You know what I mean? So I think that we
Hmm.
have to change mindsets to respect what you have. And you can always find someone lacking. But when you build with someone, and can we look at our community and say it's been working, but all this sexing up everybody without any attachments
Right.
to whereby, and then also the children that are not attached. So that's not I don't think that's a spiritually good thing. And I just don't think it's a thing for communities because it's just not, it's not, I don't think it's good and it's not working for us. So I do
Right.
see that. Yeah. One thing I did want to ask you before, did you want to go over some of these things? Now, these are the people that have informed me of these things, but I think that you talked about the six figures. If you go over it a little down in the article, show us some of the names of those professions, because when people are thinking about IT, they really don't know that there's a broad section of that. There are people that have skills like product managers don't necessarily have to have an IT degree, but they can have a background in a variety of areas. But it's a very important part, high paying job. But if you wouldn't mind going over those top 10 careers, and as you said, that people don't understand that advanced tech education is essential for career success. But if you just go name them, and then when people want to come in, because they need to see what those things are and what the
Oh,
pay is for, coming from Glassdoor, coming from Indeed. This is not me talking. These are the people that hire. So if
right.
you go the top 10 IT professions.
Okay. So the top 10 highest paying IT jobs, information technology. One, software architect. Software architect is number one on this list of the top 10 highest paying IT careers. A software architect is a developer who is responsible for the high level design and strategic planning of new software products. Okay, so about what that sentence means, right? So there's a lot that goes into all of the things that we download and upload and all of that, right? That's the
Right.
software. The hardware is the stuff that's in the computer. The
Hmm.
software, right? And you stop me if I'm ever wrong. This is just the limited knowledge that I have. So a
And
software architect
mhm.
creates and constructs the overall architecture and the skeleton of the software program or application. The role of a software architect also includes devising technical standards as well as coding standards, tools, and platforms. In the US, software architects earn a median income of $125,000 a year. So on average, they get a quarter mil a year.
Well, see, they're making that paper, and so like I just put that for you, but those are the things that people need to know, because I think when they see the numbers, they'll say, how do I get into this? What do I need? And it
Hmm.
may take a few years, but everybody, that's more of a highly technical side. But if you don't mind, if you could do it either way you want to, if you just go over just the titles and the pay, and that way we can discuss
Okay.
that way you don't have to go in each detail. But if you go over the titles of the pay of the top 10, because I want to
Okay.
get in, I think it ends at product manager, and I want people to know that you can get into this field without necessarily having an engineering degree. Sometimes they're going to require a degree, but there's some very broad skills on that.
Okay, and while I'm doing that, can you do me a favor, Ray
Yes.
Alexander, right? Can
Hmm.
you post the link to this article so that people can look up the lady that wrote the book as well as this information? Can you post that in the chat? I am gonna, if you, let me see if I, yeah, I got you. I'm gonna make you a mod so that you can type, so that you can post the link to this in the chat. So that way people can read it coming in if they're watching the replay, and I'll go over the title and the page.
Now, okay, it's several links on that. I'll go ahead and just give the references, but I'll go ahead and link it up so that they can read those articles themselves, and I'll put them in. And
Okay.
thank you. Okay.
Yeah, because y'all do homework on this channel, all right? We giving you the information, but you're gonna do some stuff after here now. All right.
It's
You're gonna earn these top earning men. Okay. Put in some work. Now, number two, data scientists. An average salary of $113,436, a minimum salary of $76,000. So that's like fresh out of college right there, entry level, the smallest person, maximum salary of $146,000, right? Number
hmm
three, develop a DevOps engineer. So, okay, development operations, what?
That's exactly right.
Really?
And
Okay, I
yeah,
guess because it don't have it in the article. Okay, so a development operator is an engineer is an IT professional who works. Okay, software development system operators. They're let's see, they're paid annually 87,133 annually. Adobe pays 122,916 for the same position, while HP pays $123,124. Cognizant 94 that. So it's basically the lowest is 87,133. That's the lowest.
right. And sometimes they're making that in their 20s, according to what their credentials are. But
Hmm.
yes, that's one of the lower ones in that.
Okay, so any of my Generation Alpha kids out there, if you stumble across this video, right, there's somebody your age that could really be making in the high five or low to mid six figures a year in your early 20s. It's out there, okay? It's possible. As a man, you could be making this, or as a woman, if you want to go into this field, right? But a woman would have to come up here and talk about that. Or as a woman, you could get a man who's making this in y'all early 20s. Y'all don't have to have that struggle of that me and y'all ancestors had to do in our early 20s. It's possible.
So your ancestor now, okay, Topaz. Okay, I hear you.
Okay, so next we have a Java developer. Now I got a quick. Okay, so Java is a code language for computers, right?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. Look at me. I'm a genius. So a person that is able to know and develop things according to that computer language, uh, let's see, $102,000, 244. Now, if you get paid by the hour, there are places that pay $62.19 an hour. But Best Buy, the Geek Squad, they get 103,583 a year. So
Mhm.
you know what? Hold on one second. Let me just do the math real quick. Because I want to give y'all a sense of what that's like per pay. 103,583 divided by 26. So that's almost $4,000 a paycheck. And that's starting off. That's just you working at Best Buy, fixing, answering people's technical questions. So in case y'all understand, that will be like the entry level to whatever job you're working, right? For me, that would be an intern salary. If you're working in the medical field, this would be like the intake coordinator. That's the smallest is what you get is 4,000 a pay period, not a month, a pay period. Next, we have mobile applications developer. They create software for mobile devices and technology. The national average salary is 97,986. Then we have our friend with the little gray with the paisley shirt underneath the gray sweatshirt. He was cute, right? So then we have front end developer. They specialize in website design, and that is 109,221 per year. Database administrator, 93,825. That's average. A .NET developer. Now, I got a question.
Mhm.
What is a .NET developer? What's the difference between that and these other jobs?
It's just the platform that they're using. They have, and it kind of goes into a little bit. Now, I'm not a developer, so this is where the people I know that kind of gave me the framework. But that means that they're using C sharp, different software programs based upon that .NET platform series. If that's
So
kind of
wait a minute, you have to have a special degree in education and clearances to be able to create a .NET. Because when I got my website designed, it's .com, and when I do the nonprofit, it's going to be .org. So in order for somebody to do .NET, they have to know more.
Right, all of it. Once you start, it's kind of like building blocks on anything. So you get that first level, and if you notice that it does that .NET framework, which is more of a platform. So they just name it, but it's supposed to be one of the more tedious of the positions. But a lot of people like it. You can make a good living in that, though. So, and I'm not an IT professional. I work with people in that, and our company hires people in that. But the people I know that do that, because I had a cousin that does it, and he does pretty well for himself.
Hmm.
And he happened to get I got a cousin that happened to get a computer science degree from Texas Southern University in Houston, which is a historically black college. So he does that.
Hmm.
And he's
Hmm.
been doing well for himself. He's got a nice home, nice wife who is a his wife is an audiologist with a PhD. So and they do pretty well. So that's why I say a lot of times you're coming across people in these settings that are doing these dynamic things, and utilize that opportunity to build foundations, and that you might not get married right in your 20s, but as you coming across people and you're seeing them do, you might see somebody as a freshman or in college, and then you see them a little bit later, a few years later, say, we are a little bit similar, and you'll come together, because that's what happened with him and his wife. They got together, and he even said that. Now let me show. He even said this. Now a lot of guys might be upset. He said he did better when he married her. Things
Hmm.
balanced out. And they say that. They say, because married men do out earn single men. They out earn never married men, and they out earn divorced men. There are a variety of reasons. Part because the society feels that married men are more responsible. Companies tend to hire them, but married men also have more incentive. They have a wife and family to take care of, so they do the things to get their skill sets higher to have a
Exactly.
higher income.
And listen, I want to point out this. Y'all know Queen of the South, a good woman. She over here listening to these good men. They told her to stop doing something. She was like, "I'm gonna do it just because you told me to." So I'm saying, like, y'all need to get on the boat, get you a STEM career, and women is gonna pay attention. All right, they're gonna listen. They're gonna be obedient. Now let me finish with my list.
Okay.
So product manager. So a product manager, the average salary is 108,992 annually. And it's like what you just talked about, right? Like that comes from, look at these numbers. Do y'all hear these numbers? It's not like these men are just making 35 million in the first 5 years of their career. No, this is the average initially. And then let's say you are this person, these job criteria, and you've spent 20 years in a field, right?
Right.
You've learned these fields in and out.
Hmm.
You got some seniority, and you are able to troubleshoot, and you proved yourself to be a good employee by showing up, knowing what you're talking about. And I was told that there's additional certification. So you start out on one job, you get a certification in others, and just
Hmm.
compound all of the additional dollars onto your check that people can't fathom. And like it just grows and snowballs from there.
Yes, yes,
Okay, see, that's
yes. Remember how we talked earlier about how a person might be at community college and they might come in
yeah,
as a quality assurance analyst, and then they might become as a service desk. That's that beginning phase. But as they get more education, more certifications, and a lot of times, and I think Dr. Dixon talked about this on Erica Williams, don't let that lack of degree stop you from getting those type of prime positions, because when the competition is hot at that level, they're going to look at everything. They're going to look at certification, they're going to look at degrees, they're going to look at performance. And because
Hmm.
we don't have the networks like a lot of other people, don't let those things hold you back. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Dr. Dixon. He is a professor in South Carolina in IT, and he was on Erica Williams' channel, and he was saying that it doesn't take as long. You don't have to go full time. You don't have to go
Hmm.
and borrow a lot of money. Take that class and work and let the company pay for it, and you can do some dynamic things.
If you are able to, can you please post the link to Eric Williams' channel? Because see, I initially, when I first came into this sector of YouTube, I did used to watch a lot more of Erica Williams' channel. I haven't been lately because I've been doing my own thing over here, but
Hmm.
that is good information. She is I forgot what she does specific. I think she's in real estate, but she
Hmm.
posts a lot of videos about how to flip houses, what to do with your money, how to invest. She has a financial channel. And so anybody that catches this replay, hopefully you guys go over there and get educated. So let me get back to the list, right?
Okay.
Systems architect. Systems architect, that's the overall design or blueprint for a company's systems, right? So
Right.
the regular engineers do like the physical blueprint. I'm guessing systems architect is the person that does the blueprint for everything they're going to need in terms of computers, the internet, all of that, everything
Right.
computer.
You
Okay.
you you right on top of your game on this, Topaz. I'm
Well, you
I'm
know what? Because I'm
impressed.
using context clues.
Okay,
So,
okay,
I'm
okay,
guessing. So if I get anything wrong, please correct me.
okay.
Now, their annual salary is 107,651. I think that's the last. Yeah, that's the last one.
Hmm. And so all I wanted to do is encourage our brothers to understand that get into this game because what's happening, other people are getting into this, and I think some of the frustration is that once if they're not able to make the money that can support a family, I think that they will say that they don't want to do that. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
don't know. I'm feeling that way. But once they're because in previous generations, remember how a lot of the brothers went to Detroit and they got hired by those companies and they would come back home to the South because I have a friend whose father did that. She has a PhD from the University of Michigan and we're good friends. Her father graduated from high school somewhere in South Carolina. I think it's near Columbia, South Carolina. Went to Detroit. Um, um, got hired by GM. His he after night he got there maybe a month after he got there. Went back the next year when her mother graduated from high school. Married her. She was 18. He was 19. They stayed together. Stayed together. He was at GM for like 40 years. But
Hmm.
they bought a house. They raised two children. They sent her to a private Catholic school. She got a PhD from the University of Michigan. So things can be done. It's different today. We don't
Hmm.
have the manufacturing base like that. But this is that if we could get brothers into this at different levels, if we can get them to start and build on it, then we could take it to that next level. We could take it.
Okay. Okay. So now let me ask you. We got some questions in the chat. So are you ready to open up the panel?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. And hopefully if some people want to come in who are I know Complex is a tech guy, and I think I saw Mike V in there, he's a tech guy. So we can all add to this because I work with these people, but I'm not a techie like that. I'm in finance, medical finance. So I'd like to see what they say on that because these are things that we can kind of glean. But that means we all have a different set of skills that we can bring to the table and help each other. And I think that we really need to. I'm really thankful for you doing this, Topaz, because people need to see this. And like a lot of guys, when guys see numbers, they're gonna say, "How can I get into this?" If they don't really know. I think of the thing about the sports. When people are signing all these big contracts, that's one thing, but the only thing is just so few slots available. We
And let
have.
me say this. I want to thank you, right, for suggesting and being the lead off in this topic because I want like that's the whole point, the reason why I started this channel. I want to be able to give out that basic foundation information where you can come here to get the basic foundation of any subject and then you know once you leave this stream, you know where to look for more additional information. And I
Hmm.
do want to also point out if it's okay with you that you actually are not in IT. You are the person that hires IT, so you know what to look for in a good candidate.
That's correct. That's correct.
Right.
I'm
So
usually on
this
the
is very
committee or the
interesting the way
team
this
that
was
hires. Yeah.
this is very interesting in the way that this was lined up because this is going to be the person that is looking for the same type of guy that women should be looking for. So he can tell you, look, this is what this personality means. This is what this job title means, what this experience level means, because you're looking for them for employment and then the women can look for them to build a family. So
Right.
I liked the dynamic of how this was set up.
Well, thank you, Topaz. I feel good that you said that. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh, no problem at all. And I did drop the StreamYard link, so I did see a lot of guys that are I know for a fact are in IT. All right, so y'all can come up and let us know if there's anything else you guys want to add to this subject. Women, if you have questions, you guys can come up, right? So I did post the link in the chat. So while we're
Okay.
seeing if anybody wants to click the link, and I'm gonna pin the message if I can. Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. And so I pinned the message to the chat. So the StreamYard link is at the top of the chat. But does anybody have any questions, anything they want to comment on? You know, even if you come up just to say, hey, I enjoyed this part of the stream. But meanwhile, while they're doing all of that, is there anything that you feel like we didn't discuss that needs to be brought up?
Let me just look at that. I think we went over things pretty well on that. I did want to talk about the advanced tech education being the thing that we need to get into, and that we're trying to close that employment gap for black men in relationship to other men.
Hmm.
Education is one important avenue. Entrepreneurship is another important avenue. However, I don't think we should give up on education. I think that there's a lot of information that shows that educated entrepreneurs outperform, you know, entrepreneurs with college degrees and master's degrees tend to outperform people that don't because they have usually they have stronger networks. They know
Right.
how to delegate. They hire people in certain roles. And so that's why I think that and I really am an advocate of historically black colleges and universities. I've seen people really do it there. And like I say, I have very when I advise or mentor a student to go to an HBCU that's good, I'm confident that if they do the work, that they'll succeed. However, when I have a student that's coming to me and they are, that a lot of times through my church functions, a lot of times if they're going to a really big school that they haven't had that same environment coming out of a high school and they don't have a strong family support system, I really ask them to consider starting small because you can
Hmm.
always go to grad or professional school at the big school. And usually the
Exactly.
graduate programs are not as big. You have the status of those big schools, but you're getting the best parts of it. Yeah.
So I do want to welcome Professor Black Ops to the panel. And before we talk to Professor Black Ops, you did have a question in the chat from Chaos Reigns. He wants to know how old you are. I think he's trying to place where your value system is coming from. If that's okay with you to answer. If not, then we won't answer that.
Hey, Chaos, I really limit the information that I provide because you brought some things out tonight, so I didn't say, but because of all the doxing. But I'm an
Hmm.
adult who loves my people. I want us
Hmm.
to see be the best that we can be, and I think that if I have information to share, I try to share it, and I think that it can come from a variety of people. But I don't really provide that information because I've just seen people just be really exploited on the internet for just people not seeing things the way they see. You don't have to agree with this as being good careers, but that's all I would say. But chaos, hello, how you doing? But I'll limit that my information to that.
Okay, and then I also, so basically old enough to know better. And
Right, right.
also Complex Design, who also works in the computer science field. And so now if you guys can do me a favor, give me about 10 minutes. I'm gonna be on mute in the background. I have to handle something real quick. I want you guys to just bounce off each other because you guys are all three the type of men that we're talking about here today. And I want them to see what that's like when y'all interact.
All right then. Great. Hello, Complex. Hello, Black Ops. How y'all doing?
I'm doing fine. I guess I'll go first. Shout out to Complex. I'm always watching him on the Black Brain Trust, so he's definitely my role model. You gave out all good information. Like I said, I'm in technology. I do cybersecurity.
Okay.
I teach at a local small colleges where you get associate degrees, so I agree with that. It's
Mhm.
cheaper. You can we work with you. The classes are smaller. I probably should have flunked a lot of black dudes, but I try to give them a second chance.
Okay.
So I mean, like I said, I give you that was all great information. Complex, I'll let you chime in, bro.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you. I can hear you pretty
Crystal,
well.
crystal clear, man.
Okay. All right. Hey Ray, how's it going? Hey,
It's going good,
Professor
man.
Black Ops, how you doing, brother? How you doing?
I'm great,
Um
man.
and I know Topaz stepped away, but I also want to acknowledge Topaz. How you doing, lady? Um I've been kind of in and out because I actually been kind of working while this conversation was happening. Did I come in on a specific subject matter, or is it just kind of more of a general?
General, he
General.
did a good points. He talked about education. He named off a lot of the salaries for different careers. I've been a programmer, DBA, so half the stuff he read off I've done. So I think we just go on general back and forth.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say that I guess maybe with regards to the topic, I think what we've tried to do with the Black Brain Trust is for the latter part of the last 3 years, because we're coming up on our third anniversary
Hmm.
on 420. For those of you guys who do that, we're coming up on the third anniversary, and on that third anniversary, we'll be doing a fourth industrial based business summit.
Okay.
Last year we did an IT summit. Okay, so that had largely to do with really dissecting what certifications, your career paths, routes to take, what's going to be the easiest way, the most efficient way, the most affordable way, right? We did all those deep dives last year. um, I need to just put those in a playlist, but all those videos are on the channel, right? When we do the business summit for this year, this is going to be about fourth industrial based businesses, right? Using fourth industrial based technologies. Um, I've kind of been kind of giving glimpses into the micro transport platform that we've been working on for the last 3 years, that basically now we'll be rolling out here at the beginning of April, and it's global, right? So part of that business summit is going to be sort of explaining how it all works, the verticals and all the various lines of businesses and how people can get involved in it.
Hmm.
um, there's just so much to it. And I know that Professor Black Ops he's been on Brain Trust for some time. He's a moderator there, and he's seen that essentially we've tried to dissect all of these various STEM subject matters
Hmm.
into categories as much as we could to maybe kind of give it in slices or in increments, because some people may deal more with the blockchain and the crypto, and maybe not so much cybersecurity, versus some people are more inclined to cybersecurity versus the blockchain and the crypto stuff, like Professor Black Ops is. Then you have people like myself. I do IoT and stuff like that, right? So micro transport is basically built on IoT. Okay, so that's my wheelhouse, right? There's so much to it. um and there's various sources out there. I would also recommend people look up the Black Blockchain Consultants.
Okay.
Look that YouTube channel up, the Black Blockchain Consultants. Okay, there's so many of us out here doing it that, you know, sometimes it pains me that we kind of take this, like I was kind of listening to like the whole sort of like nerd lame this that and I guess I just fundamentally have a problem with the fact that we can't see ourselves as being multifaceted, right? We see ourselves in these very basic boxes.
Complex,
And
we still on
yeah.
Manosphere 1.0, man. We still on Manosphere 1.0 in some
No,
places.
that's 2.0, man. 1.0 is
I
kind
know.
of
That's
yeah,
true. It's
1.0,
2.0.
yeah, 1.0 set the stage for 3.0, right?
Right.
But
Some people still
2.0,
stuck there. Some people still stuck though, man.
no, that's the majority. That's the majority of this whole quote unquote manosphere stuff. That's the majority. That's where they're at, right? But we're actually trying to be solution oriented. We're actually trying to nail down a pathway to change things, right? That's been our MO since the day we decided to form our channel. And even prior to that, I would say the conceptualization of it happened on BGS's platform. Love him or hate him, however people feel about him, right? Because I know he's a polarizing figure, but the fact remains is that prior to this current manosphere space that you find yourselves in, all of the STEM, the geopolitics, the economics, the cryptocurrency, all those conversations in 2.0, well, actually it's 2.5. That was happening on BGS's stuff. See, so there's actually a track record. We can trace this. We can go all the way back to about 2015, 2016, and we bring it all the way to 2021 now, right? And then you can see who all the players are who speak these subject matters, right? The Black Brain Trust, the Nicole Ali's, the Keep It Techies, all these people, right? Your Erica Williams and all that. And you know what you'll quickly find? They have some sort of relation to BGS's platform. Because in the 2.0 space, that's where all of that's where all the discussions were being had. And then out of that, it was born into this new space now. Now, I'm not trying to say everything is 3.0 or anything like that. We define the Black Brain Trust as a 3.0 standard, right? So anything that's not matching that, then don't relate it. But the reality is that there is a precedent. There's a precedent. This isn't anything new. This is something that's been discussed in these spaces this whole time, right? I think we're just now finding ourselves in a time where it's of the utmost importance, right? I remember back in 2017 where people were arguing with us that something like a UBI, a universal basic income or something like that, was an absolute joke. In 2021, guess what you're getting? Stimulus packages. I'm just saying.
UBI, which is basically UBI.
It's basically UBI. Yeah. Guess what you also have? Cryptocurrencies at all-time highs, blockchain technologies, right?
Okay.
True.
Right. And guess what's only going to happen? It's only going to accelerate. More automation, more fill in the blank. So I think we have a choice. We have a choice to make at this point. Are we going to be subject? Are we going to be subject or subjugated to this stuff? Or are we going to develop it and wield it for our gain? That's the question.
That's true.
Yeah, well, that's part of where you finished on that. That's part of the reason for having discussions like that, like we're doing now, to encourage people. It's such a broad field that we can encourage a lot of people to find their niche in a variety of areas of information technology. And Professor Black Ops, I was just curious, how do you, are you seeing a lot of Black young men, or even Black men maybe, not just coming out of high school, but people in their 30s, people in their 40s, are they coming into your classes or asking you a lot of information about how to get into information technology and other areas of technology?
No, that's probably actually the smallest sector in my class are black men. I usually have a lot of black women, which is surprising me. I think this is Black Girl Magic. They running this, so I get a lot of black females, and they're really on point. I think a lot of them, got family issues, so they're like really on point.
Okay.
But when I get black men, I gotta just like grab them by the collar and drag them.
Mhm.
Dude, man, help me pass you, man. I'm trying to give you a seat. Help me help you, which is the
Right.
weirdest thing. So it looks like men at that age, especially the lower ages, they're not focused. When I get older black men, like you were talking about, they need a degree because they're trying to get promoted. They're trying to get to the next level. So they need a degree to get promoted, which I think is kind of getting archaic because, you can have things. But I work for bigger companies, and if you have a tie, they let the degree be the tiebreaker, right?
Mhm.
If people,
Right.
similar, so they still want that traditional degree to break ties because I work for bigger and older industries.
Mhm.
So that seems to be it.
Yeah. And for people that are not connected, and that would tend to be us, people who are connected, who are in the right loops, in the right circles, they can do things without a lot of credentials. But if you're not in that network and that loop,
Oh
and
my
if you come
God.
from certain backgrounds, then you need to get as much help as you can. The brother Dr. Dixon talked about that. And I say, don't borrow to do it, but take your time. And I'm glad you pointed that out because we send people, and our company will pay for them. And they'll go back and over that time because, like you said, not just for tiebreakers, but to get to certain levels, people will
Mhm.
be doing something really good. And it's according to, if you're this exceptional, quote, genius level person, which most people are not,
Right.
then yeah, you can do these things. But I say do that brick and mortar way. Go ahead and build up step by step because trying to be that exception to the rule, most people are not exceptions to the rule. And there's a lot of things that you learn from knowledgeable people like yourself. There's only so much you can get from a book. I don't know. I know we do a lot of things online, but there are times when you need to talk to somebody about how do I need to do this? What is this company like? How do you feel if I would become a consultant doing this? And you need to have people who can um, know you, trust you, and say, you know what? Let me introduce you to so and so. He's the vice president at this company. He hires consultants to do this. Let me tell you what he's looking for and what you need to do over the next 12 months, the next 24 months, so that you can present this business plan that you want to do this, and he might help you get to this. And we're not in those circles, but that's what we need to do. So,
Okay,
yeah.
hold on, guys. Hold on. I'm sorry, I'll have to interject here, but I wanted to let you guys know, Complex, you're a mod now. So if you can drop the links for Black Brain Trust in your channel, Professor Black Ops and Ray.
Will do.
Do you guys do content yet?
I don't do contact just yet. I'm working on that, but I don't do it just yet.
I
Hey,
do. I got about. Go ahead, Complex. I got about 60 videos. I'm trying to get up there.
Okay,
no,
so
I
I
was just
think
gonna
Professor
say
Black
that.
Ops, you're a mod, so you guys drop the links to your channel because see, if someone is watching this and now they understand the error of their ways by overlooking men in STEM careers and technology, they'll be able to come and support your channels. So since you guys are up here discussing this, I want you to be able to drop the links for your channel so people can come and interact with you in real time if you
Well,
want.
yeah, no, I'll post those. Topaz, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my phone or StreamYard.
Mhm.
If I switch, sometimes it'll drop me out. So I just want to give you a heads up. If I drop
Okay.
out, I'll click the link and then yeah. Well, let me
Okay, and
switch
I
over so I
pinned
can
the
post
link,
those
so it's
links.
it's still in
Yeah.
there. So if you do drop out, just
Okay.
pop back up.
Okay. All right. Cool deal. I'm gonna
Okay,
switch
I'm
over
gonna
and
go
I'm gonna
on mute
post
and
those
let
links.
y'all keep congregating.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
Ray. I'm glad you brought that up because I've got cool kind of with the power structure. This old guy, he really liked me.
Hmm.
He said, I'm gonna post this job for you. I said, I don't think I qualify for the job. And you got military folks because it was a military installation. They
Hmm.
would get first dibs. He goes, no, I want you to have it. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
word it so you're the only one gonna be able to get it. You're gonna have to have an Oracle developer. You do Java, blah blah blah. So I put all this stuff up. I said, what if somebody get it? He said, I'm gonna pull it back. Then when they go away, I put it back in there. So you're right. If people like you, they'll hook you up with a job because you were in their network.
Hmm.
So most definitely, you got to be in a network. You got a network, and people tease me because I start golfing. So my name's Chunky Woods. I was golfing with this 3-star general. I didn't know he was a 3-star general.
Wow.
So we're golfing, we're talking. So he's walking down the hall, and he yells out, "Chunky Woods, when we gonna golf?" And everybody looks at me. I go, "Well, I golfed with you for 3 hours on the company thing." He goes, "Do you know that's 3-star General Perry?" I go, "I had no idea who that dude was." we just hooked up golfing.
And so that's the other informal network that we've got to do and get that exposure, because I think that people are not understanding the human relationship thing. That's why I think that technology only helps human relationships. I don't think that teachers will be replaced, and I don't think that brick and mortar colleges will be replaced, because the social side of it is more important than what you live. What you learn from the technical side, because you're developing your social skills, and also previous, and you'll probably hear me, the power elite develop those skills to replicate themselves. Now everybody goes to them, but the initial goal was to have places where the power elite would get together and they would meet and marry and replicate themselves, and everybody else would kind of just do their thing. So we could do similar to that in utilizing these college resources for that.
Oh, 100%. You go to Harvard. You go to Harvard not for the education. You go to Harvard because of networks.
Right.
You go on with billionaires in those networks. Those kids already got jobs with their dad's company, right? So that's how they power networking. That's how they, like you said, that informal network.
Yeah. Same thing with West Point. If you're in Killeen, you see those guys with their Jeeps with their personal vehicles, and they had a USMA West Point plate on there. Hey, they get, that's like Harvard. You know what I'm saying? Now it may take more to get us to get there, because you can go to Tuskegee, you can go to and go through their Army ROTC, and you can get there. But if you have all those developments, if you've done ROTC, if you've gone to a good college prep, if you've proven yourself, then you can go to West Point. But if you're just coming out and you haven't done those types of things, then going to a place like Southern U and going to their Air Force ROTC program is an excellent thing to do, because you'll get the type of guidance that you need. You'll be able to adjust to things, and then you'll get exposure to the mainstream on that, because I've seen people go to HBCUs and just do it once they really get their grounding, So I think I'd really have a high opinion of HBCUs that really, if you're going to utilize that tool properly.
Maybe I'll provide a slight counter to that position, right?
When you see your countering complex, let it go, man. It's all good. It's all
yeah. I'm trying to get the words out, man.
It's all good.
So, yeah, I dropped out of college at 17. Okay.
Wait, see, I bet people don't know that. But you didn't stop there. You bounced back, and now look at all of this that you have available.
Well, no. What I mean is that I don't think college is for everyone.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I don't think that.
Facts.
That's the thing. It's kind of like, I'm the type of person where I want people to really intrinsically understand themselves, so they know what type of learner they are. They know what their strong suits are, and they know what their talents are, and they know what their passions are. When you know these things, then you're pretty much geared for success. I think that the people who typically kind of wander about aimlessly, right? They worked in this field, 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 is because they didn't really know anything, right? So they had to go through all these various experiences and stuff, right? A lot of people told people, go to college. See, my parents told me that, but I viewed college as 13th grade, basically. I was like, I'm good. I'm done here. Right? Like, anything I need to learn now, it needs to be like through experience. I don't need more schooling. That was just me.
Yeah.
Okay. That was me personally. Right. And there's others that are kind of suited the same way. I have a natural aptitude towards tech, right? So I didn't really need schooling. It was just something that all I need to do is just put my hands on it and just be in the garage or in my room or whatever. I just need to tinker with it. I just need to take it apart, put it together, trace stuff, do the lockout, tag out, reverse engineer it, and then say, oh, okay, that's how it works. Okay, all right, got it. Right? That's my own sort of natural disposition. That's not everybody, right? But then at the same time, I'm not going to tell the people who are the opposite of me to do what I do. I think what people literally need to do is engage in hobbies, right? Hobbies are the things that you don't mind doing on your own free time, right? The things that might frustrate you, but you don't care because you like it. Okay. These sorts of things lead you into the areas or in the direction of where you need to go. The earlier we can get our children engaged in hobbies, the more successful we'll be with our future generations.
Okay.
Right. I mean, there's multiple ways to skin this cat.
I hear you. May I make a comment on that as well?
Yeah, you got it, man.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that Complex, you represent what Malcolm was Gladwell would call an outlier.
Yeah,
You
Malcolm
tend to have
Gladwell. I
these.
did a whole live stream
Yeah.
on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
outlier.
you'll be an outlier. So
Facts,
the
right?
majority of the people in the bell curve would not find themselves without those types of trainings at a high level of technology. It's just is what it is. But just like artists, most people, an artist can come from a variety of backgrounds. If they have that in them, that can eventually come out. But the overwhelming majority of architects are not going to be IMPay, but they're going to be damn good architects by going to architecture school, because we need them to be a damn good architect, and we need them to be well credentialized, certified, and can build buildings that don't fall apart. And so that's why most people will do that. But every now and then you're going to get that outlier that doesn't need that, but that's not most people. And so go for it, Topaz.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were done. I do want to just interject this though. See, in architecture, that's a skill that everybody doesn't have. It's still pretty rare considering people to be good at it. I have a best friend that's great at drawing, and so she went into that field. So that's another lesser known talent that you have to already have in addition to the skill and the knowledge, right? So it's very few people that have that. So in architecture, you get to tell people, I'm not going to school for all of this because you need the skills that I already have. So the people who are in the field dictate what all is necessary. You have a field that's flooded with people that can do it. College is lengthened, so it weeds out the unworthy. You have something like architecture where you have to have a talent plus the want plus the skill. Very few people have that. So they can say to you, I'm a good architect. I can do this job. I got the skills that I need, and I can draw, and I want to. So here you go. This is all you need. And who else is competing with you? So they have to accept that.
No, can I offer a retort to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So here's what we need to do. We have to kind of separate the discipline, right? Because I would even say that architecture and so there's the design, right?
Right.
And then there's the engineer who actually has to design like all the trellising and the cross hatching and all that kind of stuff of beams and all that to get the right tensile strength for, say, like a high-rise building.
So would I be correct in saying the architect designs it, the engineer makes it work?
Well, you would be correct. However, I would retort by saying you have the advent of AI.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So here's what AI does. AI, because it's its own sort of brain, it comes up with its own concepts, right? And it's not concepts that the human brain. So the human brain created the algorithm to do the job, right? but the algorithm is going to create something that the human brain couldn't, because the human brain created the algorithm to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like the chicken and egg scenario. And what we're finding is that if you can actually do the search on this, do AI, skyscraper designs or stuff like that. And what you'll find is that the AI comes up with these extremely elaborate lattice-based designs and stuff, right? Where the tensile strength will like keep the building erect for thousands of years,
Wait, so the
right?
AI can design it in terms of putting it together, and it could work out the formulas to make it work as well. So AI is replacing both.
Well, AI is essentially replacing everything.
Oh,
And
okay.
this is kind of like the one of like the cornerstones of the STEM fields,
Right.
right? We do have a very prominent AI data scientist in the manosphere. His name's Engineering Cannabis. He's somebody I work with closely,
Yeah, I've seen that
right?
name before.
Yeah, that's him. He literally writes and creates AI algorithms and codes.
That's
Another
what I was gonna
person,
say
yeah.
next. So the person who is gonna be on top is the person that can get in and create a code such that you now have an AI machine that can do whatever it is you want. So basically, people are being paid to eliminate jobs and replace it with AI.
Well, so that's basically the backbone of the Black Brain Trust technocratic
Mm,
platform, right?
okay.
The whole point in the Black technocracy is a class of Black folks who have mastered technology and wield it for their industrial gain. In short,
Mm-hmm.
okay. If we're not doing that, then we're basically employees,
Mm. Yeah.
or or UBI recipients, right? You
Right.
choose. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not happy. I don't want that. I'm sorry. That to me means everything I've done has been in vain. I don't want that. I'm
Well,
voting
think
against
about it. Think about it, because in the snap of a finger, COVID happens, and all of a sudden, you have all of these digital, these digital developments that replace a lot of what people have done, right?
it.
And
Right.
and just and then are those jobs coming back? Mm-mm, no.
Well, no, because why would you bring them back if you got some a machine that's already doing it that you don't have to pay for insurance or lunch
Well,
breaks and all of this
well,
stuff.
well,
So, yeah.
let's just do that before we even go there. Why, look, if I know that there's applications that just allow all of my employees to work from home, why take out a lease on a commercial real estate space?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even need the machines. Let's just go there, right? The applications just allow my people to work from home, right? Do you
Mm-hmm.
realize how much money I'm saving per month by not leasing out commercial real estate?
Yep. Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you right now with my business, I did that. Me going telehealth has been the best decision ever.
There you go. Right. That's a decision that a lot of companies have made because of COVID, right? That this is COVID was fourth industrialization. Basically, we put the pedal to the metal.
Mm.
That's what happened with COVID, right? So the only thing that's going to happen going forward is you're just going to see more of it quicker.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's an additional thing like that right now. Google is going to be having everyone back in the office starting September 2021 because they want the synergy of people interacting with each other. So there's always trade-offs on everything that you do. So some people at certain levels will be interacting, and then you're going to have some people who want to be, away from, away from the office and at home. So I think they'll complement each other eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Yep.
stay home. I
Well,
want to stay
they're
home.
doing, yeah, they're doing it. Well, in California right now, they're doing it with the kids in school. So, my daughter, for example, she homeschools the first half of the day, and then goes to school the second half. Okay,
wow.
so there. How do I say this? It. I don't see things going back to quote unquote normal per se, right? But you're okay. So let's do this. Like if you go back to 2018, you had the passage of the Transportation Act. Okay, so in that bill, when it was passed, basically that bill laid the groundwork for self-driving cars and trucks.
Wait, don't they have one? I'm sorry, complex, but don't
Yeah.
isn't one of these companies, and I want to say Tesla because I love Tesla, right? I think those
Mm-hmm.
cars are so cute. Somebody has one that's already like active, but they just haven't put it on the market yet. A
No,
self-driving car.
yeah, no, the issue with self-driving right now is that you don't have full 5G coverage
Right.
across the nation, right? So if you're gonna have cars that drive themselves without crashing and all that kind of stuff, what
Yeah.
you need is you need a wider data pipe, right? Because so it's there's God, I'm trying to remember the term, but it's all how the Tesla cars essentially what they do is they all sort of learn from their own environments and then they dump the data into like this kind of like this singular cloud computing and then it feeds the data back so the cars learn from each other, right? But
Hmm.
you need 5G for that stuff to rapidly happen, okay? And you
Like in
don't
real
have that,
time for them
right?
to get the current information.
Right, and you
It's
don't have,
faster, so they
yeah.
get more information that's happening right closer to right now than something that's like 3G and it's 20 minutes behind. And that's just me guessing, not like
No, no,
that's
no,
not a
that,
real
that,
answer.
no, that's what it is because what
Okay.
you don't have is because like see you can go from one area to another. You might have full 4G LTE, right, which may be able to power self-driving. It does, but let's say you just go 10 miles and all of a sudden 4G LTE drops off, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now you've got latency and data transmission between the car and the server, right? And then vice versa, the server then talking back to the car. And so this is the reason why they haven't basically rolled out full level 5 autonomous driving,
Right.
because what you have to have is you have to have full 5G coverage so that you have the type of data transmission available to let cars drive on their own. Okay. Now China, I'm trying to remember what city it is. They already have a city right now where basically all the buses are running on their own.
Mm. See, China's always ahead of us.
Well, that's a whole other. That's a whole
Yeah, I
other.
know. I know. And if you want to do that stream, we can.
Yeah,
But it
that's a
gets
whole
annoying
other.
because I'm like, okay, come on, y'all, let's go, let's catch up. What is this? But yeah, no, I get it.
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing about that, Topaz. Like all the stuff that I use to do, like my micro transport stuff. Where do you think all that stuff's made? Where do you think I
Yeah,
get it from?
yeah.
And Topaz, I did also want to make an additional comment to go back on the outlier thing on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people are not outliers, I think we do have to be very careful of because a lot of people think that they can do things that they're not really capable of doing, and they
Yeah.
really need a grounding. That's why I'm saying you have some people that probably can teach themselves to program. They can read a book and do it, but you have probably the majority of people really need a strong teacher, practical applications, and experience doing it. But you have some people that'll look at something one time and they can just be a superb programmer because they have that. But that's outliers. That's like having
Right.
you got a lot of people who well look at the NFL. Most of the quarterbacks are in the NFL are not as good as they should be for being millionaires, for being at the elite level. But you just have that one Tom Brady. But I think in sports it's a little bit more understood because you go through so much grinding, or grounding because you're going to compete at different levels. But I'm hesitant to encourage people to say you don't need this. I kind of like the way Professor Black Ops was saying, go to this thing, let him kind of give you some information, do a little aptitude testing, see where you are, and then
Mm-hmm.
take a step-by-step approach, because most people are not going to be this dynamically successful person who does not have that, because for a number of reasons they don't come from ecosystems, family ecosystems, community ecosystems, educational ecosystems where that could just come about by itself. If you
Right.
were married into you, if you were from a family where your grandfather was CEO of First Interstate Bank, that your mother was on the board of directors of IBM, that you went to the top college preparatory school in Seattle, and while you were in the 7th to 12th grade, you were taking software programming classes at the University of Washington, so that when you went to Harvard and you are looking at popular mechanics and they're saying they're doing the personal computer, your mother could say, hey, you're going to start a company to write the software for that, and I'm on the board of directors, and we're going to hire you to do that. That's Bill Gates. That's the
Right.
environment that he came out of. He was brilliant. He's at the genius level, but he had all of those support systems. But someone that doesn't come from that, we might have to take 2 years. Sometimes we got to take a year of remedial to get them up to par. Then we
Can
may have to take that slow 2 years to get them up to par on that. And so they might be a senior manager or a director of something, but it takes them, but they'll do that slow and steady, because I think a lot of people who are at that genius level, they think since they're at that level, they think everybody can do it, and a lot of times everybody can't.
can
Yeah.
I can I
True.
can I want to offer just a slight retort to that.
Okay.
Okay. So okay, let me just try to get my words right. All right. So what I don't like to do, so so let's just take the the app that'll be finished here in the next week or two, right? Okay. So there's multitude of verticals built into it. Okay. So it's kind of like those who have the ability to do it, and take me out of it, right? Because it's not just me. I have a business partner also. But we have to recognize, like, not everybody's built to create shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me start there. Not everybody is built to create shit. So for those who can do it, there's a special ability that they possess, right? And then if they utilize it to its fullest capacity, then what they can do is they can also enrich others. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily, because I don't have a college degree. I dropped out of college and my dad damn near fucking disowned me. Okay.
Okay.
Like that's kind of the shit I was on, right? Because I don't necessarily come from well, on my mom's side it's one side and then my dad's side is the other side, right? But my dad has worked for the state of California. He's retired from the state of California, right? He's good. Trust me on this. Like, if I needed to go to college, if I needed to get into politics in the state of California, it was set. I said no. I'm gonna do my own shit, and you know what? Fuck it. I'm not even gonna rack up a debt. I'm just gonna go ahead and just get out here and learn it. Now, not everybody's built for that, right? Not everybody's built for that. So that was 17. I'm 43 today. Trust me, I've learned a few lessons here. Why it is that I'm kind of wired to do what I do, right? You got to do it for the right fucking reasons. Sorry, I'm talking. I got to watch my mouth. You got to do it for the right reasons, though. Okay, so if you have the ability to create something big, you know, you really shouldn't just be selfish about it, right? Just be like me, 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 me. See, I'm good if I can enrich others. I'm good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even in doing that, there's a lot of those verticals that I'm talking about. They don't require degrees. It just requires like certain technical aptitude, which I can actually train people on. So this is a different paradigm that we're in. We're on YouTube right now. Do you realize that if you spent one whole week just learning electronics, you could learn how to build a battery?
Right.
Okay. You don't need to go to school. There's a lot of things you don't need to go to school for anymore. Depending on the trade that you're trying to get into, you might need a degree. You don't necessarily have to go get one to get into the trade, okay? Because you can get in there with a certification, right? So
Right.
it's like okay, do you need a certification or a degree, or do you need either one? Maybe what you just need to do is go down to your local county registrar and form a little business for maybe $150 or whatever it costs in your state, and then you could just do your own thing regardless.
And then, you
Right.
know what? We're going to have a stream about that kind of thing. There's going to be a stream coming up on the channel about starting a business, the ins and outs, the basic
Right.
foundation, so that people can decide whether or not they want to file the paperwork themselves and save money, or if they want to hire somebody to do it. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
point that out.
My whole point here is that not everybody's wired to do one thing.
Right.
Right. And I had to learn that, you know, I had to basically just trial by fire, learn it for myself. Right. But at 43 years old, going on 44 this year, what I've learned is that, yo, you know what, dude, what you've done, this shit ain't for everybody. I know this intrinsically.
Okay. Now I threw up the panel close sign, so we're gonna go ahead and start getting into final thoughts. And so the topic for today, right? Why is it a good thing for Black men to go into fields in STEM? And then what women should expect and why they should choose these men in these fields, but only if you're gonna understand and appreciate what it is you get from them.
Wait, women was a part of the topic?
No,
Earlier,
leave it alone, Complex. I ain't touch
earlier,
that
I'm
Complex,
sorry.
before
I'm
you
Check out
got
the
sorry. I'm
here.
title,
sorry. I'm
Complex.
sorry.
No, you good. Look, that was before you got here, so you
I'm
came
kind
in
of
on the
being
top.
facetious because I never mentioned women at all. But yeah,
Well, because you
guys.
know what? Because we need more men in STEM to have children that are genetically inclined and have and grow up in the environment where that's something that's supported. So, of course, it was brought to my attention that that's something that needs to be, illuminated. Is that women need to start paying attention to and supporting and
I'm not
condoning
touching
men.
that Topaz. I'm gonna leave that to Brother Ray. I'm gonna let him
Well, listen,
close out. I'm gonna let Brother
look.
Ray close that out.
As a woman, I'm gonna say it. Yes. Men in STEM should be getting their fair share of box and women.
I'm gonna do this
I
one time, Topaz. I agree with you, but the primary women in the community don't give those
know.
brothers a shot till after they 30, after they kids, and after they over.
No. I'm talking to look, see, y'all missed the part where we're talking about don't waste your pretty. Okay.
I saw you. I heard you. I
We're
just
not
think
talking
you're
about
delusional.
We're not talking about women that have been ran through and all. We're talking about the first fruits. We're talking about the
They're not giving the first fruit to the nerds. That's all I'm saying. I'm leave it alone.
Exactly. That's what this stream is about, and I agree with it. I'll put my stamp of approval on that.
No,
Okay.
I agree. It just ain't gonna happen, Topaz. But I'm gonna close out first.
Listen, let me tell you, it's gonna happen, right? Because first of all, if y'all vote for me for president in 2024, I'm gonna run like Kanye West did, right?
I got you.
And then y'all vote for me, and
got
there's
you.
gonna be out here getting the
Vote
first
for
fruit of all time
Topaz.
box selections. All right.
Wow.
So just so y'all know, I'm just saying.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm gonna close out first. Ray did an excellent job. I think Complex came on. He kind of came on the end, and that's one of the big discussion in there is search degrees or both or none, right? And like
Right.
Complex said, we're not monolithic. Certain things gonna work for people. Like he said, some people gonna be outliers. Some people ain't built for this because most people can't program. If you don't love programming, don't get into it. It's gonna eat your mind out. I've done it for 25 years, so either you're gonna love it or you don't. Right.
Mhm.
So like you said, I think more black men need to get into STEM. I don't care how you do it. And there's a lot of non-technical jobs where you don't have to be technical. I work with compliance managers, project managers. They're not technical. They just help people run it. Right? Because like you talk about, I still work with a lot of dudes that they don't let out their cube because they're half OCD, half dyslexic. Those dudes are brilliant, but they don't communicate well, right? There's still some of those guys out there, right? So I just want to invite all the brothers to come to my channel. My job is to make sure and help you. I programmed for 25 years. I've been a DBA for 10 years. I've been in cybersecurity for 15 years. So if you got any questions, reach out to Topaz. I'm always going to be in her channel. I'm supporting Complex on the Black Brain Trust. That's a lot of top-notch dudes there. A lot of brothers, especially on the tech
What are you
thing.
talking about? You're there.
I know. I'm there supporting y'all. I'm old.
Yeah,
brother.
you're there
I'm 50.
too.
I'm old. Though. I'm leaving it to the young lions because this is.
Hey, I'm right behind you. What are you talking about?
There's too many old dudes standing in the way. Al Sharpton, Farrakhan, dudes are too old. I don't want to be in God's ways.
God, man.
Here you okay? No, Professor Black Ops, all right?
No,
not
dude,
doing
let me
it.
tell
And
you
that's
something,
why I
man.
wanted y'all
50's
to
the
drop
new
y'all
40,
link.
bro.
No, I believe it's not. My knees are hurt from walking in the rain, but that's it. I want all the brothers to come to technology, support the Black Brain Trust, support Topaz, support the Third Commons, support everybody. That's it. That's all I got.
And support Professor Black Ops.
That's all
Exactly.
I got. Everybody come. All the brothers come.
But I gotta say, I really appreciate y'all's chop it up today. Like I think people needed to understand what that conversation is like. So that way, if you hear somebody talking about certain things or interested in certain things, if you hear anything familiar to today, you'll know the type of man that you're dealing with. One with great potential if he hasn't already achieved that. You're dealing with a man of value. So go ahead. So Professor Black Ops went. Let's hear from Complex and then Ray, and then I'll end up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll go because I know Ray was the guest. So, I think he should be granted the last words here. So Topaz, you've been on my Sapio live streams, right?
Yes.
Or you've been on one before, right?
I've been on one, but I've watched a lot of them.
Okay. Yeah. So I think, I guess again, I don't like when intelligence is sort of boxed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I just that kind of it intrinsically sort of goes against the very notion of intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is why I really do think that the first thing Black culture needs to do is to get rid of nerd, geek, lame, these types of things, right? Like,
right.
I really do, because these are just different these are just different characteristics that people possess. Now I'll just kind of give you an example. I do a lot of racing, right? I race like the really fast go-kart stuff. I race those. I race cars when I have a chance. I also do sim racing. I do all that kind of stuff. I just did an upload earlier today on the Brain Trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have Lewis Hamilton, who is a 7-time Formula One world champion. Basically, he's tied with Juan Manuel Fangio and Michael Schumacher as the greatest of all time. Lewis Hamilton, so he, in the modern era, of our era, the greatest motorsport driver of all time looks like us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
Okay.
not many people know that. So here's another example of something that you enjoy that has nothing to do with learning. It's a passion. It's interesting, and you
Mhm.
are able to talk to us about it.
Well, not only that, but I mean, let's just look at the prestige in it. He races for
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes
Mm-hmm.
in the highest level motorsport category there is in the world, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
all STEM. What do you, okay, in basketball, when you have a team, you have like a point guard, a shooting guard, a forward, you know, power forward, shooting forward, and a center, right? Okay, in motorsport, you have a driver and you have a team of engineers and mechanics. Okay,
Oh, okay.
that's what you have in a team. You have the driver, and then you have the car, and then you have engineers and mechanics. And I'm just saying, the dude who's the 7-time world champ, who's, I don't even want to say arguably, he is the GOAT, the greatest motorsport driver of all fucking time, looks like you. Okay, that's STEM at the highest levels. He drives for Mercedes, for crying out loud. I'm just saying, like, can we remove, like, okay, he races cars in Monaco. What is lameish about that? What's geekish or nerdish about that? I think that's highly butterlaid, if anything.
Right. Well, and you're dealing with people who don't understand why Monaco is a place to be, you know?
Well,
So you
this is
gotta
what I
understand
mean.
your
It's
audience.
yeah, like, see, intelligence is looked at as more of a utility and not more of an asset in the Black community, right? See, so if you're smart, you're supposed to be a utility for the lower class. It doesn't work like that in other cultures. See, the intelligentsia in other cultures run shit.
Right.
That's how it works. That's how it works. I'm gonna go ahead and drop off. I appreciate you, Topaz.
No problem. And thanks so much. I appreciate you coming up because you do make a good point. That is something that's backwards. You can't expect people to have a skill such as intelligence and then use it specifically to help somebody and get nothing out of it. So, yeah, it's not
Yeah,
supposed to be
it's
a utility.
completely.
It's
That's not
supposed
how
to
it
be
works.
something that's understood and
Yeah,
appreciated.
yeah. In every other culture, the intelligent people are all the richest goddamn people. That's how it works.
But our
Ray,
culture complex, we pay for what we want and then beg for, I mean, we pay for what we want and beg for what we need. So in our culture, that would be, paying for the flashiness and the entertainment and then begging for the
Mhm.
education.
Yeah, and what I would also say to that too is one other thing, because I want to leave it to Ray to get the last words, and I'm going to drop off here. Let me just say this also. I'm not sure, in light of the sort of the Mr. Jackson thing that's going on,
Right.
right, and so in light of all of that, right, I really hope people are kind of taking a few steps back and looking at the macro, right? Like, think about it.
Only listen, as much as I love my people and I want us to do better, I'm pretty sure it's only happening if it's being pointed out. There are a couple of people I hear are starting conversations about that fiasco, but
Yeah.
people just general people in and of themselves are not just thinking about it. They're literally watching it with popcorn but not actually having
Yeah, I
a
was gonna say,
conversation about it.
that's my fear, right? That's my fear.
And I can tell you
Because
as a person that works with people, that's exactly what's happening. But you do know, I want you to rest assured that there are people out here starting these conversations for that reason.
right. I guess it's just, for me, it's sort of like, okay, given, and I don't know if it was intentional, I'm not sure if it's engineered. I don't know, but essentially what I'm seeing now is that whether you're on one side of the spectrum or the other, if you're a Black male, you ain't shit. And that's very bothersome to me. Right?
Yeah.
You all cheat. You all cheat. I'm even seeing live streams here where now the conversation's about, this is just one of those things that you need to accept. And again, when I look at some of my mentors who are of other ethnicities, right?
Mm-hmm.
It works completely different. That's all I have to say.
Right. And and I think we're gonna get into this because I have a live stream scheduled with Complex and Lionel and Joe W.
Yes,
Some
yes, we're gonna
information
get
that's
there.
going to
Yeah.
be helpful to y'all. So stay tuned to the channel because we aren't gonna just have this conversation and just drop off.
No, not at all. I actually emailed you about it before I came on, but yeah.
I know I was reading it and I sent you guys some time, so just let me know when y'all
No,
get.
that's what I mean. I'm gonna get with
Oh,
Lionel
you
on Sunday. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be just MIA. I got stuff I gotta
right?
do tomorrow. So Sunday, I'll get with Lionel and we'll set that up.
Okay, cool. Because
All
this is
right.
some information I think will be helpful. So thanks so much, Complex. I appreciate you coming up and popping up in the chat.
I put yeah. Topaz, I appreciate you for having me on. Ray, peace, brother. Appreciate
Okay,
you.
same to you.
All right, Mr. Ray Alexander, tonight's lead off. Why should women, right, support black men in the technology field, and how should black men get into the technology field? Any last final thoughts for this topic before we close out?
Yes, and thank you for inviting me on today. Am I coming through pretty clearly for you on that?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, you
great.
are.
So there were a lot of good questions on that. I think that one of the main reasons that black men should get into technology is because of the opportunity for them to develop themselves and advance themselves and be financially self-sufficient, highly productive individuals. Because this is the wave of the future, so things are going in that direction, and they need to connect. And if they want to have a family, and also because of income, social status, etc., all of those are requirements for many women to want to become a wife. I think this will make them, in the eyes of many women, potentially an attractive partner. Then they'll go
Mhm.
through the vetting to know that that woman is the right person for them and share their lives with. So those are kind of the things that I will encourage more black men. We really need more brothers in that. Really, there are a wide variety of things that you can do in information technology and other aspects of technology, and so it's a good field and good opportunity.
Right. Okay. And so my
Yeah.
final thoughts here today is I hope everybody was paying attention. And so that I hope that there are women who would hear this stream and say, this speaks to me. Yes, I'm gonna start dating men with this characteristic, namely they're interested in and have decided, right? So one, they have an interest, two, they're decisive to enter a STEM career. And then they show the ability to commit to something and stick with it and prosper in it, right? Those are great attributes. So I'm hoping that women that are listening to this stream are able to understand what it would be that you would be getting with if you get a man who's interested in and making a career and a living uh, from STEM positions, and also, you don't and I'm hoping that the women who don't enjoy that would choose elsewhere so that you don't come over and irritate people. Secondly, I'm hoping that the men that are listening will see what it is you can do with this field, why it's needed, how it can give you a sense of purpose, and maybe it might speak to and resonate with some people that have some of these personality traits in common, or they notice certain characteristics and they say, hey, maybe this is a good field for me. It's something nobody else talked to me about. So my point is, if you heard this live stream today, you can't say you don't know, right? Women choosing better and black men being better. So thank y'all so much for coming out. Thank you for everybody that came up on the panel today. Thank you for anybody that shared the stream and in Cash Apps. So thank you guys so much for all the support and stay tuned. I will see you guys shortly. Bye bye.